think Ice-Ageddon was bad? If you were following the lead of my pal, Brett Norsworthy, in Forest City, Arkansas, and you loaded up on groceries, go back, turn around, get there while the streets are dry, because I just got off the phone with my friend Ron Childers from Action News 5. And he is telling me that starting Sunday night all the way through Monday, guaranteeing 4 to 6 inches of snow, could be as much as 10 to 12 inches of snow throughout the area. We're never going to get above freezing. So all that weight on power lines and trees is going to be troublesome. And then once we get past that next Thursday, another wintry mix coming by next Friday. I know. By next Friday, his bold prediction is we will truly be sick of winter. And I believe him. And I am a little bit worried. I'm worried about this because I'm not worried about the snow. I love the snow. Go out and get a sled. My son, my youngest son, Jacob, today said there's a really cool inflatable sled that you can get now that's reasonably priced at like Home Depot or Lowe's or someplace like that.
It's called an inner tube.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I like the old regular, metal frame with a steering
Not enough
thing.
give. Had a friend of mine badly injured on one. You have
Really?
more give with inner tube.
Really? Huh. I grew up on having those sleds. I used to go down a little park in Chicago right on the lake called Devil's Mountain. And we used to go sled down there, and that was fun. But anyway, you'll be able to sled.
That sounds downright satanic.
You're going to be able to sled for sure, according to my man Childers. And seriously.
You didn't need to talk to Ron Childers. I could have told you all this without you wasting your time talking to Ron Childers. I've been telling you.
You're my guy for any kind of history number when it comes to sports. Childers is my guy when it comes to the weather. I'm sorry. I don't mean to betray you.
I've got the same apps he's got.
I think his toys are just a little more sophisticated. I hope
no,
so
they're more
anyway.
expensive.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here's my concern of serious note here. We do have if you look at just look at power line poles. They're bending a little bit because there's so much weight from the ice. Now you're going to compound that because we're not going to get any real melt. So you're going to compound that with the
until
weight.
Next Friday.
Yeah, and you're going to compound that with the weight of added snow. 4 to 6 inches of snow or more. That is added weight. And then another one next Thursday, that'll be a wintry mix, which usually means more ice than anything, which probably weighs more. Oh, my goodness. I mean, this is winter. And make plans. Make plans is the best that I can tell you.
Even with this prolonged cold for us, it's not anywhere near the longest we've been this cold or the coldest that we've ever been.
Oh, no, this is okay. I mean, this is tolerable. Put a coat on. You'll be fine. I mean,
but even Monday's low of minus is not all-time record cold or even close to it in Memphis.
Well, is that what you've got? Well, you're right. I've got 1 degree is the low on Monday. Wow.
I've got -1, so we're plus or minus 2 there.
The high on Monday is 16 degrees.
I've got 14.
Man, well, yours is Forest City. It's a little warmer in Memphis. Seriously. Because there's more traffic and more cement.
The heat island effect,
It retains
as
the
the
heat.
meteorologists have told us through the years.
There you go.
And they went to meteorology school to learn that. The heat island effect.
What have you got for percentage of snow on Monday? Seriously. I got 80%. I mean, it's happening.
I've got 75.
I got 80. Wow. And then next Wednesday and Thursday, we're talking about Wednesday night, 70%.
But they have fancy graphics and music like bum, bum, bum. Yeah. We're all going to die.
Well, I don't think we're going to die, but we are going to be a bit inconvenienced, and maybe some will have to take off work because, well, we're all doing it virtually anyway, right? Your computer should still work unless you got a power outage. Let's hope for not to happen. Man, no, it started with Ice-Ageddon, and I thought that was nothing, to be honest with you. Now, I wasn't one of the – I think there was at one point 10 or 20,000 people in Shelby County that lost power. So for them, that was a total inconvenience. So
I bet we make it through.
it was something. But, yeah, we're going to survive for sure. But, anyway, Monday, he's guaranteeing 4 to 6 and saying that it could be as much as 10 to 12 inches of snow. Wow. We haven't had that in a long, long time. So that is what's coming. So basically, it's kind of perfect for Valentine's Day, right? So tomorrow, get out, make sure you go to Dinstall's or whatever, get all your whatever you need to, get all your stuff, whether that's groceries or Valentine's Day stuff, get it all together. And Sunday should be okay until the afternoon, and that's when the snow is going to fall.
Seriously, Dave, for a Chicago native, what do you consider? I mean, 'cause I know you don't consider a 30-degree day cold. What do you consider cold and kind of prolonged of overnight lows is cold?
I'm going to say, I live in the Rocky Mountains, too.
15?
I think 15 is pretty chilly. The coldest I have ever been, believe it or not, was on a New Year's Eve in Minneapolis. The Tigers were playing Minnesota. There was a Liberty
Bowl played in Minneapolis? No,
I'm
kidding.
This was, I don't know, Charlie Cavanero set this game up. They made us wear tuxedos. I was doing TV. Even Paul Hartledge was cold, and he was from Minneapolis. And I can't remember the year, but you can look it up because it's when the Tigers played Minnesota, and at Minnesota. And it was the coldest, and I lived in Chicago, and I lived in Steamboat Springs in the Rockies. Okay, well, that's a little drier cold, isn't as bad. But it was, I want to say, 20-something below without wind chill. With wind chill, it was close to 40 below. The walk between the parking lot, the media parking lot, and that arena was about a block and a half. That's the coldest I have ever been on that walk. I mean, it was freezing. So my standards are, a little bit more relaxed. I would say when it's going down to 1 degree and your high is 16, that's a cold day. That's a cold day anywhere.
Well, here's my point. Tonight, 18, then 15, then 11, then -1, 11, 19, 10, and then 22. So that's 6 days of really cold. Here's my point. We're going to be under 20 degrees for give or take 6 days. We haven't been over 100 degrees the last 3 or 4 years, more than about 4 times.
So is this a point on global warming?
No, it was a point on we haven't been that hot over the last 4 years, and we've been cold this week more than that.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be through the prism of global warming, Dave.
No? Okay. Well, global warming is going to cause drastic shifts of everything, they say. So
they say that now, for every stack of they say it is, there's a stack they say that it isn't.
Right. Well, and the other aspect, I tend to side on the fence of there is some responsibility, and if we can stop it, change it somehow, let's try it. But
I'm too. I'm also on the side of we are doing that.
Yeah. There are some people that will say we've had ice ages throughout time. I mean, science has proven that. So this is just another phase that we can't control. So I think we should try to find out if we can control as much as we can control. And I've seen it firsthand. Were we talking about national parks? That might have just been John Harden and I, and not on the air before we got on the air. But I've been to a number of national parks across America, and especially I've been to Glacier. And the first time I was at Glacier, it was spectacular. And then I went to the Icefield Parkway. Anyway, you see evidence clear by my eyes in the last 25 years, the loss of the ice fields and of the glaciers themselves. That's why if you get a chance, once we get past this pandemic, and you can go to Glacier National Park and then go into the Canadian side of Glacier National Park and then go up to Jasper, you go through Banff, Lake Louise. I mean, it's spectacular, but it is losing its dramatic, majestic effect because we are losing, without question, we are losing the glaciers. So go while you still can. That's my point.
Now the question is why?
The people that are there that would give you tours and show you how the ice is retracted or melted away, and you can see where the ice used to protrude to, and now you see mud, they will tell you it's global warming that has done that. So,
how cold was it the day you were there?
Well, we went in the middle of summer, so it was not freezing. To wear a little sweater, that's it. Very doable. Probably less cold than it is outside right now. It's gorgeous. If you've never had that opportunity to take that drive between Glacier National Park on the Canadian side and Jasper, it's stunning. It's just absolutely every like I say to Gail, every quarter of a mile, half a mile, I would turn 20 degrees in my view in my car, and I go, Gail, look at that! Oh, wait, no, look at that! That's the greatest thing ever. Every turn is something new. I mean, it's really spectacular. You would love it. We've got an interesting show for you today, as we will get off of weather and glaciers. Bruce Marshall will join us, and we'll get his sense of the Super Bowl. We have to tip our cap to him. He said it would be Tampa, and he was on the money. Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. I contend this is about as bad a time as it could have happened for Memphis to be put on pause because they were playing good and they were getting set for a litmus test. And I think they were mentally ready, and we'll talk with Jason Munz about that. Craig Unger is going to join us. If you have not heard, part of the big news today is that the Redbirds are going to be one of the 120 teams in the new minor league system, but they've got a new league. It's called AAA Southeast. It is more travel-friendly, and Craig Unger, who is the president and general manager of the Redbirds and 901 FC, he will join us at 4:30 to talk about that. At 5 o'clock, Andy Schiffman will join us, and we'll talk NBA with him a bunch, also the Grizzlies and the Lakers tonight. So that is sort of the lineup for today. The Grizzlies will be without tonight, Brett. No Desmond Bain, and you can't blame him. He's gone for at least this game for personal reasons, but he lost his grandmother. So we send our thoughts, prayers, sympathies to him, and I don't blame him for missing when you lose a grandparent or a parent or something of that nature. But he will not play, nor will DeAnthony Melton, nor will Brandon Clark, nor will Jaren Jackson Jr., nor will Justice Winslow. So what are those? Five that I just mentioned, five guys that are clearly going to be in the mix when the Grizzlies have a team that will push to make the playoffs. But all five of those guys, a whole starting lineup possible, are out.
On a night that even with them, they would probably lose to the Lakers at Staples Center. And then Sunday night, some of those will be back, not all, on a 2-game road trip to Sacramento that you just want to go 1-1 anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll make the likelihood of still being able to go 1-1 on this trip, it may be even better, but they probably weren't going to beat the Lakers tonight with those people.
Well, you know what? If you're going to sit out a game, that's the one to sit out because you're probably right about that. Yeah. And I guess when we make that statement, we got to check, is LeBron and Anthony Davis playing tonight? Got to make sure they're playing.
Anthony Davis, I think, is a game-time decision. And LeBron, he's been the marathon man out there this year. He hadn't missed. And this year we've had fun at FanDuel betting on basketball. And this weekend, this is the time to really get into FanDuel, get into the NBA with the new player props or the game props that we all love so much at FanDuel. And what's really neat about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called Same Game Parlay Bet, and you can find them on FanDuel. Player point totals, rebounds, assists, block shots, money line, over, under, first quarter, third quarter, any combination you want, the point spread, anything. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same game parlay insurance. You heard that right. Every day you have that same game parlay insurance, even if you fall one leg short. That's why we love FanDuel. It's easy to use, easy to register, easy to deposit, live betting, easy to place your bet fast during a game if you see a trend developing that you love and that you can cash in. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and try same game parlay and use promo code CASH at sign up. That is promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older. Present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, and that's Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Lexus of Memphis offering the Valentine's weekend sale at 2600 Ridgeway. Call them at 901-362-8833. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, it is the Grizzlies and the Lakers tonight around here, but I think there's an interesting story going on at Pebble Beach, one of the most beautiful places in all of the universe. At Pebble Beach yesterday, Patrick Cantlay tied the Pebble Beach record by shooting 10 under 62. Now think about this. He shot a 62 to tie the course record yesterday. The last round before that at the Waste Management Tournament in Phoenix, he shot a final day 61. He went 61, 62 in back-to-back rounds. And there's more, Brett Norsworthy. There's a 19-year-old kid who decided 2 years ago he was not going to go to college. He was going to try and make the tours, and he's been busting his tail, as he said himself. No. His name is Akshay Bhatia. And he's American, but I don't really know where. But yesterday he did something that only 3 other players in the history of Pebble Beach have done. He hit every green in regulation, which is, to me, it's amazing. Think about all the pros.
Little bitty greens, too.
Yeah, but think of this. In all the rounds, in all the years that have been played by generations of pros. I'm not talking amateurs. I'm talking the greatest players of the game for how many generations? Going back to, the 40s? And only 4 guys have ever hit every green in regulation, and he's one of them. That is amazing, absolutely, to me. And the other thing is Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth, who shot that 61 in Phoenix on Saturday and then was terrible on Sunday. And everybody said, that was just a one round and all that. Well, he shot a 65 yesterday. He is 4 under through 16 holes, tied for the lead with Daniel Berger, the former FedEx St. Jude Classic champion. Jordan Spieth, Daniel Berger.
2-time, back-to-back.
Yeah, they're both 11 under as their rounds start to close out. They're playing together. They're through 16 and I'm not sure I think they must be playing Spyglass today because they both played Pebble Beach yesterday. It's going to be fun to watch that, and we're not going anywhere, so enjoy the golf.
My top story, sadly, along those lines, Dave, a quiet weekend for the Memphis Tigers program in pause. We wonder when the next game will be played, much less the makeup games. And the Grizzlies with 2 on the left coast. Nice time to be in L.A. for the travel party with the Grizzlies and out of this frozen tundra. But the Lakers will be hard to beat tonight. But the Kings on Sunday night, that would make it 1-1. That's all you want out of this trip. That would be Jim Dandy.
I think if I were the Grizzlies, I were Taylor Jenkins or Zach Clement, I would be appealing to the league for a couple of weeks now. Can we stay out on the West Coast and come back after the winter weather is over?
I'd two-gamer. Just go out there for those 2 games and then back home for 3 straight.
Yeah.
And then to Dallas and then home for 2, and then Houston and Washington and on the road, and then Milwaukee, and that's it for the first round of the schedule.
I know. Well, that second round of schedule has to come out pretty soon, doesn't it? You would think it would have to come out pretty. They got to make all kinds of logistic arrangements. I don't think you can do that just like that, but maybe you can.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that is the COVID story again. The Shelby County vaccines put on hold another day because of the weather. Now, yesterday you didn't know better. You were scared. Okay. I think you could have given vaccines yesterday. Personally, they did not. Today, I do not understand why they did not reopen. And now with what we've got staring at us on Monday, which is going to be snow on top of ice, we're just falling further and further behind on getting these vaccinations, on getting these needles into shoulders. But the numbers really, Brett, are so good. They're trending in the right way. The Shelby County Health Department announced they're going to loosen restrictions that will take effect on February the 20th. Restaurants will get back to 75%. Part of that is also they'll be open for the bars till midnight instead of that 10 o'clock curfew. And I know the restaurant folks are happy. 213 new cases. So we are seeing another drop in active cases by 100. 2,800 active. So I think that's like the 5th or 6th day active cases have gone down at a pretty good clip. Unfortunately, there were 18 deaths. We had almost 4,000 tests at 5.5%. So we're staying way below on the positivity. All really good signs for the area. But now we got to figure out how to keep the vaccination places open.
Why don't we turn the Commercial Appeal Building into a vaccination place?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Why not? I mean, they spent all that money. It's never been used. It will be used, though. We should point out, I say that, but eventually that is going to be a place that will be used for UT Health Sciences. So the medical school in Memphis, that's part of the University of Tennessee, they're going to use that as a training place, and they're going to keep it going in case we ever have another pandemic and a need for extra hospital beds.
My not top story, it's minor knee surgery being reported for Tom Brady. I don't think it's major at all. It as the story said, minor. But why wouldn't Tom Brady, after sobering up for a few days and enjoying his family and thinking about next year, not walk away now? Even a playoff loss next year. Heck, not a Super Bowl, but maybe not even a championship game, but a first-round playoff loss. How much worth it would that be? But what if it's hauled off in an ambulance? If I'm Tom Brady, I walk away while I can.
If I'm Tom Brady and I'm in the kind of shape he is, and it's just a meniscus scope injury, a cleanup, that's nothing. I mean, that is.
That's what Justice Winslow had, and I don't know if he's ever going to walk again.
Well, here is the thing I was just about to say.
Jaren Jackson. That's what he had.
Exactly.
Jaren Jackson had.
Exactly. They said the same thing about Jaren Jackson, but I promise you, if this is supposed to be minor surgery, let me put it like this. If it's a scope, okay, and they never told us how they surgically worked on Jaren Jackson Jr., so we're all guessing.
I think they reattached his leg. I think it was severed. They had to reattach it.
But if it's a scope, and I've had both knees scoped, I mean, you are literally back. You're walking right away. You're pretty much back in action in 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm guessing that's the Tom Brady surgery. I thought that's what Jaren Jackson was getting, but we're still waiting on it. He's not playing tonight, is he?
Instead, it was brain surgery, and they just hadn't told us.
And we are now officially underway. Well, don't go anywhere because the Golden Man from Las Vegas, he comes your way in just a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Basketball has met its match. It's Sports 56 mornings with your assist kings, Pete and Sane, bringing you the best alley-oops of informative sports talk. Great guests, calls and texts, prize giveaways, and more.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Steph. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a freezing Friday that will turn into a very snowy Sunday. Crazy. We are in winter. That is for sure. We're going to go to the land of sunshine. We're going to Vegas. And the Golden Man, Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, in just a moment. I'll let you know I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. You need to get to the Family Leisure Warehouse because they got plenty in it right now. I wonder if they would ever consider like bobsledding equipment for the weekend they could rent or something like that. I don't know. But I got a factory direct pool and patio sale going on right now that is really worth going to see, and they got the inventory available. The new 2021 stuff is in at I-40 and Whidden Road. You know, pool season, believe it or not, is around the corner. Get ready. Beat the rush. Sign up now. Be the first for installation, and the spas are in stock. They're already ready for installation. Maybe not this weekend, but right after that one. Complete your backyard with what I love to say is the state-of-the-art outdoor furniture that is available. I have some. I can tell you how good it is. You get a whole new look and appreciation for your lot when you buy some of their patio furniture, and special financing is available. Like I say, take a visit. What else you got to do before the snow comes this weekend? Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. See our friends at Family Leisure, where family and fun comes together. We mentioned we go to Vegas. Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet joins us now. And you nailed it. You said Tampa all the way. You were sure. You were correct.
Well, I wish I were in Vegas now. If I told you where I was, I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. It's like I'm in the middle of Iraq here, driving between Barstow and Bakersfield, California.
Ooh.
So if you were on our way up to the Bay Area for grandson's birthday. But if you've ever heard of Edwards Air Force Base, it is not far from here.
Yes, I've been on that
Space
stretch of road actually, so I know. And there's not much out there, so you are in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And we appreciate your dedication to this show.
We do, Bruce.
Yes.
We appreciate
this.
you.
Well, I found a Burger King here, so we stopped, and then it worked out really good. Yes, it worked out good in the Super Bowl for us for once, and we got it right there, and even some of the few props we thought were, cashed in there okay. I did something. What I always do after the Super Bowls is I end up updating the rankings, the all-time Super Bowl rankings, and where this one put, I put this one at 37. The 37th best Super Bowl. And how I did that, I'm not quite sure. I put it between the Giants, Broncos, and the Dolphins 49ers Super Bowl. And that latter one, this is the one, it sort of reminded me more of that one because we kept waiting, like we did for the Dolphins in that game years ago with Marino against Joe Montana, for Miami to make a move that we always thought was going to come, but it never happened. Kansas City just couldn't close the gap, really. And so anyway, it's only 37 because there were so many Super Bowls that were worse than last Sunday's. But the defense won thing for Tampa Bay. It was really Todd Bowles' stop unit there, and they took advantage of the injuries on the KC offensive line. I don't think Mahomes is at 100% either with his mobility, but when he's running backwards like that from that pass rush and not sliding side to side parallel to the line of scrimmage, he was running straight back on a lot of those pressures, and then Kansas City's offense was wrecked at that point in those plays where that happened. So it's mostly credit to that defense, I think, that really carried the day for the Bucs.
Well, just to dramatize that point, if I can, have you seen this stat? We've mentioned it on the air. I think it's been mentioned a couple times. But they measured the yardage that was run after the snap of the ball, before the ball was passed, on only pass plays. This is not running for a first down. Patrick Mahomes ran for 497 yards in all the attempts that he threw, while Tom Brady ran for all of 36 yards. I think about that. Tom Brady's offensive line held up, and the Tampa defensive line was just absolutely going through the Kansas City front line like it was Swiss cheese.
Yeah, and I heard that stat too, and that was reflective watching the game. I mean, Mahomes was completely chased back, and like I said, he was running straight back, and then he started to try to dance around after he went straight back 10, 15 yards or so, and at that point it was really a mismatch sort of up front, which we didn't see. I thought they could maybe bother Kansas City some, and I knew that the Chiefs had some, the tackles were hurting and Fisher and all that, but I didn't expect it to be that sort of a disruption for the Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes had never had a pro game where his offense didn't score a touchdown, and who would have figured that happened on Sunday, but it did.
Yeah, Bruce, and you texted me before the game that with all the build-up, all the ballyhoo about Mahomes versus Brady, that it could end up like that Dawesville game between Montana and Marino way back in the 80s. And you also were one to slow down on, yes, he's very good. He's going to win another Super Bowl, but slow way down on Mahomes getting to 4 or 5 when legends of the game like Roger Staubach had 2, Troy Aikman 3, and a lot of legends of the game 0. He's ahead of those, but you were big on, let's pump the brakes a little bit on making this guy a 5-time winner when he's still sitting on 1.
Yeah, let's see him get to 2, and it's not that easy. I just don't guarantee he's even going to win another one. I mean, you listen to some of these talking heads, it's like, well, it's fait accompli, 5, 6, whatever. I beg to differ, and the difference is going to be we'll look at some of these others. Rodgers we mentioned, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger. Rodgers and Roethlisberger, it's been 10 years since they've been to a Super Bowl, much less won one. Russell Wilson is good. He was as good as Mahomes. Hadn't been there in 6 years. Dan Marino got there in his second year. That 49er Dolphins Super Bowl we talked about, he never got back. So I think it is far from conclusive that Mahomes is going to come close to threatening Brady. Even to get a second one is going to be a pretty big deal. So yeah, pump the brakes, definitely.
Well, only 2 teams get there every year. Only one team out of 32 wins it every year. And for that reason, and I've said this before, I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but I think 10 Super Bowls and 7 wins, I don't care what position you are, even if you're the long snapper where you can have a great deal of longevity, 10 Super Bowls, 7 wins, that's almost like the 56-game hitting streak. I don't think that record's ever going to get broken, Bruce.
No, and in football, no, I don't think so. And, it's amazing. I mean, at this time last year, there wasn't a really robust market for Brady. I mean, a lot of people still thought he was going to re-sign with the Patriots, but aside from them, the Chargers seemed to be in the mix for him. A little bit of talk of the Raiders, very peripheral talk. Yeah, maybe the Bears or someone else would get involved, but that's about it. We didn't even hear about Tampa Bay right at the start, but Brady obviously did his homework there, and he figured that if I'm going to play for somebody here, I might as well play for Bruce Arians, who's the players' coach, and I think my philosophy can jibe with his pretty well. And so it wasn't by chance that he ended up with Tampa Bay. And the fact that they were able to recruit all of these guys because of Brady. That's it happened like that in Denver, sort of, too. But very few players are able to lure other players to join them like that. And, Brady's presence, Gronk, and some of the others who showed up there were all because Brady was there.
Bruce, across sports, and certainly across the NFL, there have been legends of the game that late in their career they end up oddly in other uniforms. I think one of the saddest was Jerry Rice at the end with the Broncos, not even wearing number 80. They wouldn't even take it from Rod Smith to give it to him, wearing number 19. Tony Dorsett with the Broncos, Franco Harris with the Seahawks, of course, Joe Namath with the Rams, Montana with the Chiefs. He made it work pretty much, getting to a championship game. Peyton made it work with the Broncos. Tom Brady is unequivocally made it work with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we think of Willie Mays at the end with the Mets. We think of Karl Malone at the end with the Lakers. Is there anything close to Brady changing uniforms late in a career to match it? On the top end, and which one is the saddest for you? Jordan as a member of the Wizards, which one is in the Tom Brady league, and which one's the saddest to you with your great sports knowledge?
Well, for me, saddest were Willie Mays and Johnny Unitas, right about the same time there. And Mays went to the Mets and Unitas at the Chargers. That was just bad for both those all the way around. The one that I recall that I think is the closest fit to Brady, he didn't win a title, but he got close, was Y.A. Tittle resurrecting his career after the Giants brought him in the early 60s.
Yeah, but the Bears beat him in Wrigley Field in 1963, my friend.
That's what I said. I mean, he didn't quite win the championship, but he got there 3 years in a row, twice against the Packers, once
with
against
Vikings.
the Bears. And then it just didn't. He didn't win, but I mean that was the only right to mind to me. The first thing to mind.
I think I can give you one, and I think we're living in California maybe at that time, Bruce.
Yep.
He didn't win a title, but how about the great one, Wayne Gretzky, going from Edmonton to the L.A. Kings? I think they were fairly successful.
Oh yeah, I mean he turned the Kings around. He ended up bringing some guys with him just because Gretzky was there. So yeah, that's Gretzky's good. Yeah, you're right. He didn't win one. People forget Edmonton won another Stanley Cup the year after Gretzky left. I mean, 2 years. Gretzky's gone. He is the second year is gone. Edmonton actually won one. But you're right. Gretzky was still Gretzky when he came to LA, and he elevated the moribund franchise to a contending status there. But yeah, Gretzky would be pretty close.
And I guess really LeBron's in his own category, right? Because he's won now 3 different places.
Yeah, LeBron's sort of different, and he started a little younger in the pros than these guys. He's only 30, about 34, 35. But he has now won 4. So LeBron, that conversation in a different way. I guess you could bring Michael Jordan up too when he came back with the Wizards.
Yeah, but he was terrible. That's more Willie Mays than it is Tom Brady.
he would be in that category. That's sort of disappointment. He had been off for a couple of years when he decided to give another go. But no, this is interesting what Brady's done. And give Tampa Bay credit. I mean, they built this thing short term like that. I think that they'll try to run it back next year at close to the same pieces. In 2 years, this Tampa Bay is going to look a lot different. I don't think Arians will be there in 2 years. Brady might not be there. And it'll look a lot different. But that's the name of the game now. You build to win now, and this year nobody did it better than the Bucs.
Yeah, nobody has a 30-year mortgage anymore in sports. It's all really kind of hand to mouth, just do it now. Bruce, this year with us on Fridays, I say phenomenal record, especially in college. You were 64-46 with us in college football picking games on Friday with the win last Friday. It made it 24-21 on NFL. Obviously, we get to more college during the regular season than we do the NFL. But that's a season percentage in college football of about 58%, in the NFL about 53%, overall about 57%. I say job well done, Gold Sheet, Bruce Marshall.
Well, thank you. I actually kind of enjoyed this season in a different sort of way. I know it wasn't a traditional sort of a year, but on the field at least, and on TV, it looked pretty much like normal in the NFL. I know that at sites, a lot of the stadiums didn't have fans, so it made it look different. But I sort of enjoyed, and I sort of enjoyed the college season too. It was a little. We got right to it in the conference games. We didn't waste our time with a lot of these matchups versus the FCS. I'm looking at the schedules that have already come out next year, and God, I actually sort of like this year the way the schedule at least went, as opposed to what we're going to get again with all the non-conference games that don't mean anything.
Right. Well, I think if there's one thing we've learned is that we at least need to add a ninth game in conference for those conferences that aren't already doing that. And I include the American in that with the SEC for sure, because there's always one cupcake that is just it's a needless game. And frankly, if I were the NFL Players Association and I'm looking for any kind of lobbying for things that the NFL might want, like that extra 17th game, I'd say then no more exhibition games, because it proved that you don't need the exhibition season. This year is proof positive.
Zero.
I thought we had really good play, much better than I had anticipated, much better play without the exhibition season.
May not need practice, Bruce.
Well, yeah, they it was different. Nobody seemed to miss the preseason much this year except me, only because I look at preseason different. It's like its own different animal. It's a very good handicapping thing in the preseason. I believe it's the best chance to win in football, but it's different. It's a different dynamics. Different teams are, just coaching guys take it more seriously. But that's just for a pure handicapping point of view. But I understand the public didn't miss the preseason. I understand why.
Last thing before we let you go for today, and we'll look a little more into college basketball and the NBA next week, kind of wrapping up the NFL. For those who don't know, Bruce Marshall is a historian. He also sets lines in Vegas and everything else. He also is the partner of Brent Musburger on a radio program, and Brent was front and center of this new 30 for 30 on ESPN about Pete Rozelle and Al Davis. I would love your take, and if you talked at all to Musburger about it, his take on that documentary.
I haven't seen Brent in a bit. He's been hanging out mostly in Montana lately. So he's doing most of his stuff on VSiN, Zoom, Skype, or whatever it is. I'm sure he would have some thoughts on it, because he was right. He saw that up close and personal.
Yeah, he did.
But the Davis Rozelle, stuff, a lot of that really accelerated when the Raiders moved to LA, and there was a lot going on there. But people forget, when Davis was the commissioner of the AFL, for a very short period of time, he was more instrumental in forcing the merger, I think, than anybody, because he started to raid on the NFL French rosters then with John Brody with the Oilers. The NFL sort of cried uncle and said, okay, we'll go ahead and do this. We'll get the merger done. Davis, in a very short period of time, was a very, very instrumental commissioner. So I think in that thing with Roselle, I'm glad they made. I haven't watched it yet. I want to, but I know.
Oh,
enough
you'll love it.
background.
You'll love it.
Yeah, it was good. Howard Cosell wrote a great chapter in one of his books. I never played the game, all about the Roselle Davis thing. It's really good.
I'll have to read that. I never did. Well, you be safe. Keep your eye on the road. Don't fall asleep because that's the easiest thing on that stretch. And we will chat with you next week.
Thank you. My wife's driving, by the way, so I'm just talking.
Okay, good. Oh, and by the way, how do we get more of you?
Thanks. Check us out at LineGoldShoot.com. This basketball publication is every day now. Well received, the new format. Goldshoot.com. My picks there. Also Vegas Insider, DoneBest.com.
He is the great Bruce Marshall. Thank
Good
you,
luck.
my friend. Enjoy your little vacay. We appreciate it. That is our friend Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Let us pause. We're back. We'll put a wrap on this very first hour of Sports Time on a freezing Friday on Sports 56.
Get happy with Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. You are powerful. You're a warrior who bathes in your enemy's tears. Then you step out of that refreshing tear bath and into a bathrobe that somehow looks good on you. Yeah, you can pull off a robe. There. Don't you feel better? You'll also feel better when you save money for driving safely with Snapshot from Progressive. Savings you can use to buy more robes. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Hi, sports fans. I'm Jay Gaddis with James Gaddis Jewelers. Valentine's Day is almost here, and we want to help you celebrate your love with beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis Jewelers. At James Gaddis Jewelers, we specialize in engagement rings and bridal jewelry and have the biggest selection of diamonds, pearls, watches, and gemstones of the highest quality for any budget. Come to see us for Cupid this year and make this Valentine's Day one they will never forget with the perfect jewelry they will always cherish. Located in the heart of East Memphis on Poplar near Mendenhall, James Gaddis Jewelers, your family jeweler.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me. Yeah.
Welcome back in. Today, we talk about those who pass all the time. So let's give a shout out to an older guy that had his 87th birthday today. One of the greatest. We could make the argument that he's the GOAT because he's got more championships in the shortest period of time than anybody else in history. That's the 11 championships that he won, I think, in 14 years, 13 years. I'm talking about Bill Russell. You know how old Bill Russell is today? 87 years old, man.
Yeah.
You
said that, but I knew it. And you think about Bill Russell; he won championships at the high school level, state championships. He won back-to-back at San Francisco with the Dons. He won a gold medal. He won all those with the Celtics. Some of those years he was player coach,
right?
And in a franchise that has had a lot of very popular black players, that was still very difficult in that town for him to assume both of those duties, especially following the legendary Red Auerbach. And, you even now have a lot of professional players, particularly baseball players, said there's just no way I would ever sign and play in Boston with some of the invective that has been hurled out of the stands at Fenway at those players. So really tough for Bill Russell to do it then. He was a great announcer on ABC on the Game of the Week, a lot of times with Keith Jackson. And Dave, I don't like how his 11 with the Celtics, how by some it gets diminished because it was so long ago. Well, just because it was so long ago doesn't mean that it was not, that he didn't accomplish it. Right. He did, and many will point to the lack of big players then. Well, he had Wilt Chamberlain coming along at that time. He had Nate Thurman coming along at that time. There weren't that many teams. And toward the end for him, he had a young Lou Alcindor coming along when Russell was mostly at or near the end. Willis Reed was around at that time, so it's not like he was out there playing against Tom and Dick Van Arsdale.
It often kills me when I hear that kind of stuff. Oh, he was bigger than everybody then, or you know what? Should we take away something from somebody because he was faster than everybody? Or does LeBron get diminished because there'd never been a guy who could run as fast, jump as high, and weigh as much as he does? That's ridiculous.
Well, think about
he was the greatest of his
era. Think about the most beloved player from yesteryear across sport. The name we always go to, that there's not a soul walking the face of the earth that saw him play in a game now, and that's Babe Ruth.
I was going to say the same thing to you. That's funny. Yeah.
Why wouldn't people go? Yeah, but he was just so much bigger than everybody, and he had a bigger bat out than he did. He carried up a tree to the plate when everybody else was taking a little switch up to the plate. And you don't. And I'm here to defend Babe Ruth. I mean, I'm here to say categorically he's still the greatest player to ever play the game. Never mind the pitching statistics. But you don't ever get that. And here's something else you don't get, Dave, ripped from today. Headlines. J.J. Watt going to engineer his exit from Houston. How come he doesn't get anywhere close to the criticism that a Houston player just got a few weeks ago in James Harden?
Or for that matter, Deshaun Watson in the same city too. So same team.
Very good point. So J.J. Watt hadn't won jack in his career there.
No, he really has.
Joe Thomas lost forever in Cleveland and never complained. Why doesn't J.J. Watt get anywhere near the criticism when Kevin Durant engineered his exit, or Russell Westbrook, or James Harden?
The only argument you could say, other than the race card, and I tend to think that is a big part of the mix. But I believe that J.J. Watt he's the only team he's ever been on was the Texans, correct? He's never been on any other team.
I don't think it's race. I think it's the philanthropic card, because he's been so good in the community and raised so much money for all the different events and very sad events to befall Houston, that he's probably untouchable in the media there. And he just hadn't won anything. He hadn't been out there for a lot of games the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, out of a potential 90 games that could be played, he's played in 48 games. Now, I know he's been hurt.
Right.
But look, JJ, one of the reasons we hadn't been very good is you were always hurt.
Well, he's been there long. How many years has he been there now?
I'm guessing 11.
Yeah. So you're talking about over a decade, 10 years? Is that what you saw? 10 years. So 10 years.
And they've won nothing.
Yep, they have not. But then again, Harden and Watson haven't been involved in the community as much. That's a good point. And they haven't been there as long. That's another good point. But I do tend to think that there is a racial aspect to all of that when it comes to forgiveness and different perspectives. I don't see how when we bring out all these different examples that isn't a part of that equation.
I agree that one part of it, James Harden treated I'm not saying I did, but he has treated kind of the image drawn of him is very petulant, very selfish. He's only after himself. But J.J. Watt, philanthropic, man of the people. Yeah. He doesn't want to be the next Joe Thomas. I think that's classically unfair.
Probably so. Some of it, though, with Harden, all these people that came in to play with him that left as soon as they could, that's another factor I would throw in the Harden thing. But your point is well taken. There's no doubt. Well taken. And we got to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we will talk Tigers and pauses and all the ramifications of what that can do to the future. Jason Munz, the Commercial Appeal Tiger beat writer, will come your way in just a minute.
There's now a faster and easier way to pick up your Corky's Barbecue. Order and pay online, pull into the designated spot, text Corky's to 474747, and we'll bring your order right to your car. No waiting.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Hey, Dave Woloshin here. I want to talk to you about my good friends at PrestoShutters.com. They're open right now, and prices don't get any cheaper for window replacement, window treatments, exterior shutters, inside plantation shutters, roller shades, blinds, whatever window fashion you need, they've got. Amazing deep discounts, including installation. Everything you need is American made. Visit PrestoShutters.com or call them at 901-244-7484. That's 901-244-7484.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in on a freezing Friday that's going to turn into a snowy Sunday. Winter in Memphis. Grizzlies are going to be playing in Los Angeles, California tonight against the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. The Tigers will be playing, who knows? That is the big question. And for that, we hope we'll have some sort of an answer. The wonderful beat writer from the Commercial Appeal of the Tigers, that would be Jason Munz, I know you've got all the answers. You know exactly who's got the COVID, how many they are, what the contact tracing's all about, and you know exactly when these guys are going to play next.
You're giving me too much credit, Wolo. As far as I know, Memphis is playing dominoes this weekend. That's all I know.
Yeah, by themselves, too. Like they can't even intermingle, right? Just roommates.
Yeah, they're going to
playing solitaire.
Yeah.
A lot of solitaire, Minesweeper this weekend.
Lord, it
Jason Munz,
crazy.
you can read the text exchange I sent you earlier today. I can't stand not having a schedule in front of me. I can't stand being this unbusy, especially on the weekend. I mean, I've only really worked one weekend this calendar year, and that was the first one at the Ole Miss Bowl game. I texted Jason today that if I knew I was going to have this much free time, I would have had a family and kids or maybe a dog.
Yeah, especially when, I thought we were through this. I thought we got through the holidays and people were going to settle down again. But, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was only a matter of time.
Well, I wonder how widespread it'll be throughout the American, because we saw not only was the Memphis game with Cincinnati postponed last night, but so was the East Carolina game. And it's from East Carolina, and East Carolina played Memphis, and then they played SMU. So you're looking at what could be a whole bunch of issues for Mike Oresco.
Yeah, I certainly hope not. It does seem like that ECU is the common denominator here of the teams that have had to go on pause. The last team Memphis played, ECU. The last team SMU played, ECU. So who knows exactly how it all shook out, and I unfortunately the sources are being tight-lipped with who's down right now, who tested positive. The only thing I do know is, or one of the only things I do know is probably the same thing you guys do, that it is multiple. Now that's not necessarily multiple players or multiple coaches. But it is multiple people within the program who have tested positive. And the other thing I know is that the announcement came out Wednesday, but the positive tests were taken Tuesday. So if they're, whatever timer is on this, whatever timeline this pause ends up taking, it's going to start on this past Tuesday. So if it's like a 10-day deal, that does unfortunately stretch into it stretches like the 10th day would be this coming next Thursday, which would knock out the road game at Wichita State.
But you could play it on Friday, right? You could move that to Friday.
You could certainly do that. You could absolutely do that, and then come back home and play Temple on Sunday. But yeah, this depending on how things shake out, depending on how long this lasts, it's going to make for a very interesting, frenzied race to finish the regular season.
Well, just look at this. Sunday you've got Memphis and Houston out, Wichita State, SMU out. Those are the four teams that if I'm Mike Oresco, I want them to play every game they possibly could play. This is crazy. Both games on Saturday that were scheduled, that's Temple in East Carolina and SMU in Tulsa. And again, we go back to this ECU common denominator. So there's not even a Saturday game being played in the league. And, of course, they moved two games today to get them in, Tulane, UCF, and Temple and Cincinnati. So you basically have questions with Memphis, with SMU, and with ECU. I mean, that is really tough.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
There is a whole lot up in the air. Now, I've had some conversations with some people that, that make me think that, yes, the league absolutely wants Memphis and Houston to play, the maximum number of times they can, the two games. So I do not see this Sunday's game against Houston not being rescheduled. Now, how they get it back on the schedule is going to be the tricky part. I mean, there's a chance they squeeze it in at the end of the season when Memphis is supposed to play Houston in FedEx Forum, and maybe they schedule a deal like Memphis had with SMU, where they played SMU here one day and then 2 days later went to Dallas and played them there. Or if you're the league and you're finding that type of thing difficult, maybe if it all works out with everybody's schedule, maybe you say replace. For instance, next Sunday, Memphis is scheduled to host Temple. Maybe Memphis goes to Houston that day, and the Memphis Temple game, series doesn't happen this year. It ultimately boils down to the league's top priority is getting the most teams they can into the NCAA tournament, and Memphis playing Temple and Memphis only playing Houston once doesn't accomplish that. So, they're going to have to get really, really creative, and I'm anxious to see how they figure this thing out.
Well, Jason, I know it's a guess for you, but where would you guess next Thursday night, Tigers playing Wichita State? Where would you guess that percentage is? Because we know we'd have to travel on Wednesday, clock's ticking, have to play on Thursday, and if they don't play that night, I mean, we know some dates certain. We know on Sunday afternoon, March 14th, Selection Sunday.
Yeah. I would say right now, unfortunately, the best I can do is 50-50. As we've seen, East Carolina played without its head coach and like several of its scholarship players against Memphis when they hosted the Tigers. UCF was not at full strength, when they came here and played a couple of games. So maybe there's a scenario where enough players and coaches sort of test out of this and get out of contact tracing and all that in time to go to Wichita State. Now, obviously, you wouldn't be at full strength, and you don't want to have to do that, but other teams have done it, and it's just the nature of the beast this season, again, unfortunately. But I think it's still too soon to say, and anything outside of 50-50 would just be pure speculation.
I tend to agree with that, but I would tell you, in my sense of it is, if that 10-day started on Tuesday, they'll move that game, provided you keep getting the negative tests, they'll move that game to Friday. I like your point about maybe making some switches here, and this has happened before. This is the commissioner's call. But by the way, it was the commissioner's call to cancel the game Sunday with Houston. It's the commissioner's call that was to pause all activities. It's actually the AAC that is doing all of the orchestration here with all of pauses and rescheduling. But if I were Mike Oresco, because it means $2 million to the league if they get an extra team into the NCAA tournament, where I would make sure that Memphis plays its 2 games with Houston, that it finishes its series with Wichita State. It's already done with SMU. I would sure make it mandated that SMU plays 2 games with Houston, Wichita State, and they've already got the Memphis games in. And the same thing would go for Wichita State. They got to complete their series with Memphis. They got to play 2 games with Houston. They got to play the 2 games with SMU, because those are the real candidates on top of Houston to get in, and it's too much money not to make sure you're giving your league the best opportunity to get a second team in.
Yeah, and I would even, again, it's up to them how creative they want to get. But so, there's still 2 games with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's not having a great season, but they are, I think, relatively close. They're not a bottom tier team. So, I don't think beating Cincinnati would make a ton of noise, but it could. I mean, it's not like beating Tulane. You know what I mean? And there's a game against Tulane still on the schedule. There's a game against South Florida. There's a game against Temple, a home game against Temple. Those 3 to me, if the league decides they're going to start subbing out games, those 3 are the ones that I could see them sacrificing.
I buy that, and I'm not saying you're not going to play more games. I'm saying for Memphis,
right.
If you're Oresco, you're making sure those 3 games get played, and then get every other game you can in.
Yes, absolutely. Those 3 are top priority, and then it goes to, in my mind, it goes to Cincinnati, and then down from there, the South Florida, Tulane, and Temple games.
And then 2 of those 3 teams that should be protected and will be, I think, first served in making up games could, in effect, sign, seal, and deliver the final nail in only one team from the American getting in. Because, Jason, if this is a conspiracy, if this is a cabal keeping the AAC out, then it is with 100% unanimity, because there's not a single bracketologist out there. Somebody could become the first one to have a second team from the AAC or Memphis in the tournament, because nobody has that represented. West Coast has 2 in a lot. The Valley has 2. The A10 with 2. CUSA in some with 2. So if this is a conspiracy to keep the AAC out, it is very well coordinated.
Yeah, that's an astute observation. I'm going to tease a story that I've got coming out next Monday. You brought up bracketology. I would say this, based on conversations that I have had. The Memphis's chances, and this is not huge breaking news by any stretch, but it at least hammers the point home that Memphis's at-large hopes are completely dependent upon playing games against Houston. And that comes from conversations that I've had very recently with,
and winning at least one of them, right?
Correct. There is no forecast. There's no forecaster out there who is speculating that Memphis can get an at-large bid or even get on the bubble without a win, at least one win over Houston. So, again, the league is, I fully expect they're going to do everything that within their power to make sure that Memphis plays Houston twice before the conference tournament.
You watch a lot of basketball. Brett, you watch a lot of basketball. I throw this out here. If Memphis were to play against Drake and Loyola back home and homes, or they were to play UAB, and who's the other really good team in the CUSA?
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. We know how that one turned out.
Which they already lost to in a neutral. I would have to think that if they played Western Kentucky again with Moussa Cisse a little bit older, DeAndre Williams in the lineup, and zone defenses, which he didn't have at the time. Now that's on him, but he didn't have them then, and that was a mistake. But he has them now. I think they would compete with those. I think the league is worthy of a second team. And I'm not saying it has to be Memphis. Maybe it'll end up being SMU or Wichita State. But I just can't imagine that this league is only a one-bid league. Even though I see the analytics, there is no conspiracy. I get that, Brett. I'm just saying, by my smell test, from what I see, I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, the committee, certainly the game against Western Kentucky, you mentioned not having the defenses, and Moose's developed much. He's much better than he was.
And no Williams.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, you also have DeAndre Williams, and that the committee does they do take into account when making decisions what a team currently has. How a team is playing currently, what team you would be bringing to Indianapolis as opposed to what team you had in November in South Dakota. But they can't ignore. They also can't ignore the head-to-head where Memphis lost to Western Kentucky. They can't ignore the fact that Western Kentucky beat Alabama this year. So, it's dicey, and again, it all goes back to currently Memphis does not have a marquee win. They don't, and their only opportunity to get one is against Houston. And So until, they put themselves in a good position compared to where they were 3.5 weeks ago. They're in a much better position, having won 6 of their last 7 and beaten SMU and beaten Wichita State. But they have no quad one wins. Wichita State has, if we're talking about who's worthy right now, if the AAC was going to get a second team in, who's worthy right now, Wichita State has only 4 losses, and I think they've got a couple of quad one wins. So, that's where it is right now. Until Memphis gets a crack at Houston, they're on the outside.
The Wichita State game,
and it continues to hurt that they lost to SEC 10 in Auburn.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Wichita State game would be a quad one game, though, right? I mean, if they're top 75 on the road, that would qualify. So they got they were going to have 2 shots this week at Houston, at Wichita State.
Yeah, I think they're borderline. I don't know if they're like 73 or 77 right now, but I think
Wichita State 74 today.
74. Okay,
so that would make it a quad one because it's top 75 on the road, is it not?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So yes, I believe that game, and as much as that game would help Memphis, it probably would also help Wichita. So if Memphis only plays 3 more games this year, the AAC is going to see to it that 2 of them are Houston and 1 of them is Wichita State.
I agree.
Because that is the most, that's going to set up for the best possible outcome.
Well, how will seeding be for the American Athletic Conference tournament if and when it's held?
So I'm glad you asked. I had a conversation with Brian Thornton, who's the new associate director for basketball for the league. I talked to him actually about 6 weeks ago, early part of January. I talked to him when Memphis had those. They had just had the Temple game was postponed, and then the UCF game got postponed. So I called him up. We talked, and I asked him about, I was like, look, this is going to be the way it is the rest of the year. So how do you, if you've got a team that's played 18 games and you got a team that's played 15 games, how do you determine seeding at this point? And he says, well, there are some nuances to what we have come up with, to the system we've come up with, but by and large, it's going to be based on winning percentage. Now, there's going to be certain, as he said, there's going to be certain nuances applied to. It's not just going to be strictly winning percentage. They're going to also take into account things like, who was responsible for games that were lost. So, for instance, when
so there will be finger pointing.
Well, I don't know about finger pointing. I think if it's something where there's like a tie, then that comes into consideration. Or at least that's what he told me.
I got to tell you, that scares me, because you know what that smacks of? It smacks of, what brand do we think has the best chance of making us money, getting us into the NCAA tournament?
That'd be Memphis.
It may be, but that is not the right way to do it. There should be, in my mind, absolute positive
more empirical
plans that you see on paper that you have to aspire to get to. You can't be subjective and go, we're going to make you the 3 seed because we don't want you to have to play Wichita State until the semifinals. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm afraid would go on here. And it might benefit Memphis, you're right, because we are a stronger brand than a lot of the other schools in the league. But that is not the way to keep credibility for your league. I'm sorry. That's just not right.
I'll read you his quote. Here's what he said to me. He said, there are some nuances to it, but the general thing is we are utilizing winning percentage as our measuring stick for seeding, not just who has the most wins. The team that plays 16 or 17 games, that might not be their fault. They might have had the best year of anybody in the league, and we want to find a way to appropriately seed our teams based on their performance as best as possible. So, that's what he said.
Wow. That basically just said, if I read that or listened to that the way you read it, is that we're going to look at winning percentage, but if we don't think that's really representative of
we're going to pick them the way we want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that. want to point out that was 6 weeks ago. So maybe he was speaking a little too far off the cuff. I don't know, but that's that's what he said, and as it stands now, Memphis is third in the standings based on winning percentage. They're behind Wichita State, who's in second, and Houston right now.
And if Memphis were to not play, and they won't until they play Wichita State, which, as you said, is 50-50 for Thursday, I think better, though, that they will play that, provided there's no new information that we find out about further testing and more positives and more players or coaches. So we don't know. But Friday would be a really a good way to slide that in, because you still would have 2 days off before you play Sunday. Or the day in between, excuse me, and you could get them both in. So,
if you're the league,
we'll have to
though,
wait and see.
Yeah, if you're the league, though, would you rather, play a game with implications for both the teams involved, where one is coming off of a pause where they can't even practice, or would you say the next week, instead of Memphis hosting Tulane, which doesn't do anything for either team, win or lose either way, maybe you host Tulane. If you're Memphis, maybe you host Tulane next Friday, coming out of your pause, and then you go to Wichita the following Wednesday. I believe it is.
That makes a lot more sense. I agree with that 100%. And in my notes when I was getting ready to ask you questions, I wrote, I think this is about as bad a time as you could possibly have had a pause, because Memphis was playing in their best stretch of basketball. They were really ready to go. And now, as you said, they can't. They're not even supposed to be with one another, let alone practice. So they do need some time together to practice and maybe to play a game. So that makes perfect sense to me. I don't know if it's to play Tulane again. Maybe you play one of those Cincinnati games instead. But we've seen this. This was way back when John Calipari was here, and he actually brought in a guy who is still with him, Chris Woolard. And Chris's dad was an athletic director at a couple of different schools, including, I think the last one was USF. And Chris was working for Conference USA. And he brought him in because they wanted to figure out the best way to schedule for RPI to get more teams into the tournaments, the USA teams into the tournament. And so they made this decision that they didn't have divisions, that you were going to play sort of an odd number of games, but you're going to play the really good teams. We're going to play 2 games against one another, and the ones that weren't so good, we're going to play 2 games against another. Each team would play everybody at least once, but they were going to weigh it. And that's maybe what Mike Oresco needs to do now. The 4 teams that we mentioned, they got to play each other. The 4 really bad teams where their net ranking doesn't matter a bit, put them all together, and the ones in the middle kind of go in between.
Right. I mean, I do think that I don't think it's going to be anything remotely close to the way the schedule looks now, exactly how it's going to get played out. I can't see that happening. There's too many teams. There's too little time left, and there's too much on the line to, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for the league, and what's best for your team, for your what's best for the league is what's best for the programs within the league. So, at the end of the day, and to your point about being the worst time for something like this to happen, I would wager that it's probably the second worst time. The only time worse being like March 5th, 10 days before the start of the conference tournament. That would be a bad time too.
All right, last question for Jason Munz before we let you go. We're up against the clock. Hard one, but a very succinct answer. Memphis is supposed to play 27 games. They have missed 3 now, so they're down to 24. Of course, some of those could be made up. Give me the over-under on regular season games the Tigers will play.
22?
So you think they will miss 5 games?
Well, I don't think Temple's not going to get rescheduled. The road game at Temple, I don't believe, is going to get rescheduled.
No, that definitely is not going to be. So that would be they're down to 26.
Yeah, maybe 24 is probably a better answer.
That's sort of provided that they can play against Wichita State and they only lose these 2. I think that's a fair number. I think you're on the money with that. Jason, always a pleasure chatting with you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, guys. Thank y'all.
That is our man from the Commercial Appeal, Jason Munge. You know our title sponsor for this hour of the program is Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. What a company, what a team. Together for 13 years, and all they do is take care of you. That's their primary goal. That's why they've stayed together so well, because they feed off of one another perfectly, and their goal, and they've accomplished it, is to raise the bar at making sure you're taken care of. I can give you some proof when it comes to Genesis cars. There are 355 dealers. They're in the top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, number 1 or number 2 in the district, depending on the month. And they always want to be number 1, so they're always trying to get better. And this is how they will take care of you. First of all, the product's so good, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new Hyundai, on every new Genesis car. But then they take it one more step further, and that is they give you a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new car, because they want to take care of you. They want that car to be really good, and then it's going to become a certified pre-owned, and they sell more of those than anybody in the market for 14 years. This is how car business should be done. I want you to see for yourself. Get on Lamar. It's Highway 78. When you get to Mississippi, exit 1, Craft Road. Turn left and go see Chris True and that gang that's been together all those years. That gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take a break, and when we come back, we will chat with the president of the Memphis Redbirds. That is Craig Unger, on this brand new minor league baseball setup that begins in just a couple of months. We get the skinny from Craig in a minute.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays. What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with the hottest new arrivals from Ping. Introducing the new Ping G425 series. The G425 drivers have the highest MOI and is the most forgiving driver in golf. Increase your swing and ball speed with proven Ping innovations with 3 models to fit all golfers. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great Winter Collection Sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The Winter Collection Sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Olchin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back on a freezing Friday. Hard to believe. We got snow coming Sunday, and we're talking baseball. But why not, Brett Norsworthy? We love the game, and Memphis was very fortunate. They are included in the 120 minor league baseball deal that has been totally ratified, accepted by everybody now. They become part of the Professional Development League. It's a little different, and the guy that is perfect to explain all of this for us from AutoZone Park is Craig Unger, who is the president of the Redbirds and of 901 FC. Craig, congratulations. Let's start there because I know there was some fear around all of baseball when everything was getting reshuffled that, heck, could Memphis lose the position they were in? But that is not the case. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, I think there was a lot of things going on there. Look, we had a couple great things in our pocket here. One being that the St. Louis Cardinals are our partners here. We have a great relationship with them, and I don't really in the grand scheme of things, I don't think we were ever in any danger of losing anything. And obviously, we have one of the best facilities in all of minor league baseball. That's something that, as we talk about what today was about and some of the reshuffling of minor league baseball was about, facilities is a major part of that. So, the fact that, our partnership with the city, who owns AutoZone Park, and, the improvements that have been made here and the continuing improvements that we continue to talk about, AutoZone Park is going to be a great destination for baseball. And as we found out today, it's going to be that way for a long time to come.
Craig, it was a big announcement, and in the official release from y'all, it said MLB announces minor league baseball teams. Teams will be a part of a new model to better serve fans, players, and clubs. How does this better serve fans?
Well, I think from a fan perspective, the one thing is when you look at sort of our regionalization here is great, and obviously Memphis was not necessarily part of this when you look at the bigger picture of what was done in some cases, but with Memphis being so close to St. Louis, there's a lot of Cardinal fans here. But I also know that when you look at outside of just this as Cardinal stuff is go south of here, even in Memphis, there's Braves fans. And now the fact that we're in a division with the Atlanta Braves AAA team, that's helpful to fans. That provides great synergy. We're going to be able to play other teams that are nearby us. Being in a division with the Durham Bulls, to be able to bring that name here is just great for the fans to see something different. We're still going to play Nashville. Nashville's now affiliated with the Milwaukee Brewers. So if you're a Cardinals fan, it's being able to see the Brewers players come through to continue that rivalry with, Cardinals Brewers now with, Memphis Nashville. That's great. In a lot of other cities, when you talk about sort of the fan perspective of it, I said that Memphis is fortunate to be so close to St. Louis, and that's why this partnership makes sense. In a lot of other scenarios, those partnerships weren't there. You didn't have minor league affiliates so close to where your team played. We'll use the Miami Marlins, for example. They were in New Orleans and were slated to go to Wichita, Kansas this year. They are now moving their affiliation to Jacksonville. Keeps them in the state. It keeps the players close by. But for fans in Florida, now you get to see your AAA team there. You get to grow that. They get to grow the brand. So I think all these things sort of combined together make this a sort of a great thing for baseball.
All right, tell us exactly how this works, because you've mentioned, I think, just about every city. In your division, which is known as the Southeast, you've got Nashville, Durham, Gwinnett, which is that outside of Atlanta? Is that I'm trying to think of where is Gwinnett?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
so
you've
that's
got
a suburb of Atlanta.
You've got Jacksonville, Florida. You've got Charlotte. You've got Norfolk, Virginia. And some of these, obviously, if you're a big Redbirds fan, you can take the trips with them. So that part is nice. I know it saves you guys a little bit of money on travel, so that's good for you guys too. But will you play other teams? Will Memphis ever play, let's say, the Cardinals rival, the Cubs? Will they play the I-Cubs anymore? Or will you only play these teams, or how does that work?
No, I don't think so. We don't have our schedule out yet. We're still awaiting that part of it. And obviously this year I think is going to be very different than what it's going to be in the future because of, travel and COVID and that type of stuff this year that we're going to have to navigate through there. So, keeping travel to a minimum is going to be, very important to how this works. But I think, again, as we go through, when you look at the bigger picture of that is we are now in the AAA East division. Sort of like take the American League, National League, and you go AAA East does include still includes Omaha, it includes Iowa in there, and all the teams to the east side. So I think that possibility is out there. I don't know how the scheduling is going to work this year, future years, et cetera. But we are in a greater division, in a league, if you will, National League, American League, with Iowa still. And then the teams out west, form the AAA West division.
Craig, a couple of agreement questions here. How long is this agreement between Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball? How long is your agreement with working with the Cardinals as a AAA team? And how much time's left on the agreement for naming rights for AutoZone Park on the ballpark?
Yeah, so great questions. Really, I think to kind of back up one step is, that these agreements now that we have with Major League Baseball are directly with Major League Baseball. So we fall under in all of the minor league baseball teams from AAA, AA, High A, Low A. All teams now have 4 classifications of teams across the board, and all of those teams now report up through the commissioner's office. So it falls under the MLB umbrella. We are a Major League Baseball affiliated team that obviously has affiliation with the Cardinals, but we are all sort of operating underneath the umbrella of Major League Baseball. And, with that comes, there's going to be great improvements in, some of the fan aspects of the game that Major League Baseball can bring to us from, their digital presence, what they have in terms of their app, what they have in terms of just the network that is Major League Baseball of MLB TV and greater visibility. It's no more where minor league baseball has to kind of operate on its own as its own little entity. We now fall underneath that umbrella. So that's the first part, is we are part of the Major League Baseball umbrella now. The agreement that we have with the St. Louis Cardinals and Major League Baseball runs for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So it is guaranteed that AutoZone Park and the Memphis Redbirds will be the AAA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals for the next 10 years, so through the 2030 season. And that's a change from the past. Under the old, what they called the PDC, world that we operated before, the maximum you could sign up for was a 4-year agreement. So what you saw in sort of the old world of minor league baseball, and you saw this in Nashville, and you saw this in a few other cities, every couple of years, 2-4 years, they would be changing affiliations. And that's why the shuffle went on again, to bring the parent clubs, their teams, closer to them, to help with regionalization, so that your farm teams are nearby you, and then extend the length of these so that teams have certainty. That certainty both on our side of how we're marketing players and color schemes and logos and all the things that we're doing, and on the Major League Baseball side, they wanted the certainty as well. So those, and then finally with AutoZone, AutoZone's a great partner of ours. There was a long-term agreement that was set up when the ballpark opened. There are still several years left on that naming rights deal with AutoZone. They are very supportive of what's going on here. We continue to have conversations, and confident that they will be part of the discussion here for a long time to come as well.
We are talking with Redbirds president Craig Under about the new baseball deal. 120 teams now in the minor leagues. The Redbirds are going to be in the AAA East, actually the Southeast Division, with a whole new setup. I saw in this agreement, not necessarily from your release, but from the MLB one that you sent with it, that there are a lot of changes that will be better for the players themselves, including significant raises. Who's responsible for those raises? MLB, or will that be out of the pocket of the Redbirds?
Well, actually, it comes from the St. Louis Cardinals. So the Cardinals pay all of the players throughout their entire minor league system. So that, no matter what team it is, all of those players are paid by the parent club. Again, I always joke about it is that I'm usually the last person to know who's coming here. I'm the last person to know who gets called up, because all those decisions are made, through St. Louis of who the new players are, et cetera. But with that is this sort of change in here. There were a lot of things in here to improve. You mentioned it earlier, travel, which is obviously one of the player things. Look, our players go by bus. We fly commercial. When we go to places, we're flying through Charlotte, we're flying through Dallas, we're flying through Atlanta like everybody else. We're subject to delays, baggage fees, you name it. So there's some challenges in the travel side, and these regionalized schedules allow for, more bus trips, more things that are more efficient. Closer matchups. I mean, look, for years, I am grateful for the time that we spent in the Pacific Coast League. We had, great games, a lot of fun. We have multiple championships in the Pacific Coast League, but the end result was we are east of the Mississippi River, and going to Tacoma, going to Sacramento, going to Salt Lake City, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge to do that and sometimes play a game in the same day. You might be flying back from Tacoma and playing a game that night. You may be flying to the West Coast, playing a game the same time, catching a 6 a.m. flight out of Memphis. So regionalizing this just makes all that better. And the other big thing, again, AutoZone Park, not a big issue because it's a new facility, but upgrading player and staffing and player development amenities through inside of facilities. Facility standards hadn't changed for about 30 years. So there's a vast overhaul now inside of minor league baseball of the facility standards that are going to help bring facilities up to a higher standard that really thrive on player development and bringing latest technologies into that. It doesn't sound a lot from the fan-facing side, but when you give these tools to the players, it's going to just be greater chances that these guys have a chance to make it, and that they're going to spend a lot more time at the ballpark and developing their skills and have all the tools available to them to become a big league star.
Craig, sadly, heartbreakingly, after a year without a single pitch, after a single at bat at AutoZone Park, get back to some sense of normality this summer with having the Redbird schedule coming out soon. I know there might be some restrictions early. It may be some well into the summer. Have you thought about maybe a relaunch of with a year without, of almost starting over? Because we're a long way from that opening day in 2000. And with that relaunch, have you given consideration to maybe go back to traditional over-the-air radio agreement in carrying your games?
Well, I think the other challenge of going into this year, and by the way, it's been over 500 days since we've had a baseball game at AutoZone Park. The last one was the last game, that was played in minor league baseball, period, and that was the national championship game. That was played here. I think it was September 17th or 18th in 2019. That's the last time that a ball has been thrown here. So understandably, it's been there's been a lot of challenges going through, the past 18 months or so, almost 2 years. That and obviously this year is going to still present challenges. I would anticipate, with great certainty that, we will start the season with attendance, restrictions and a cap on those, social distancing in place. And frankly, we're approaching this year that's going to be the case, throughout the year. I think that's, probably a pretty safe bet at this point. If we get surprised that things begin to open up in July and August, that'll be a bonus to us. But, we're approaching this year very cautiously, and knowing that there's going to be some of those things in place. So, with that, because limited fans, yes, I am very, thinking a lot about, between radio, TV, all sorts of different ways that we have to continue to stay relevant with baseball fans. Look, with even with social distancing the way it is right now, our configuration probably going to be somewhere around 3,000, maybe 3,500 people if we're lucky. On a Saturday night, there's 10,000 people here. That means there's 6,500 people that still aren't going to be able to come to games. So I don't want those people to go another year without a touch point with the Redbirds or with just baseball in general. So very aware of that. Yes, I think we're exploring every avenue, every idea that we can to continue to push out, the content of the games, the content of everything that we're doing here, and continue to have fun because that's what this is about.
And last thing, switch caps a little bit, and that's 901 FC, which did have that socially distant crowd toward the middle and end of last year. Oh, is that season getting delayed a little bit? Did I read that, or what's the story of when you might start 901 FC?
No, that's true, and I think that that's been probably. I'll take the blame for that, but I think we probably should have spent some more time kind of telling people that there is a delay in the season. Typically, we would be in training, right now.
Right.
Players would have reported probably last week under a normal world with games starting the beginning of March. We are not going to be starting the beginning of March. The season is likely to start probably in early May. That's the direction we are headed in. There is not a schedule out yet. That is still being worked on, but I would anticipate a schedule that would have around the beginning of May start for that. So when you look at the timeline in there, and I've had a lot of fans hitting me up on social media and emails and people that I know on a text message of sort of what's going on is really that time frame has been pushed back. When you think about for us, the off season was December, January, and you'd come into training camp the end of January, February, you'd train and you'd play games in March and you'd sign players in sort of that 2-month window. Well, call it beginning of February right now. We are still 3 months 3 months ish away from the start of the season, which going back to a March thing, it's essentially kind of December 1, January 1 to us in our preparation cycle. So we have time, and that's, everything is running full steam behind the scenes. A lot of conversations going on, a lot of things happening. And I would expect, again, as we're in this window that now we feel is really just sort of our regular preseason cadence, if you will, in that time frame. There'll be a lot more activity in the coming weeks.
And I guess you're going to have to name a head coach, too. You haven't done that yet, have you?
Haven't done that, right? As I said, there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that, again, the other part, too, is look, we want to make sure that as we make these announcements, they're being done when there's interest, right? When there's things coming up that are actionable. Doing some of these things in December and January when, number one, we're in the midst of, a health crisis and, big numbers and people are concerned about the holidays and family members and there's lots of illness and lots of sickness. We're trying to read the room a little bit, is that, look, we're going to get closer. We need to it's just as what you said about baseball is we got to sort of relaunch. We got to rebuild everything. And we want to do that in a very calculated, methodical way that as we're sort of building interest to a launch in May feels like a really long time for now. Understand it's not, but in our world, we've got a lot of time.
Yeah, well, I think we're all just ready to go. We're all wanting baseball and everything else. So, congratulations on the new setup. I think on both fronts, you're going to have a lot of folks trying to get into AutoZone Park this year.
Well, we certainly hope so. It's been a long time. Obviously, our small crowds that we had last year, we'll be able to get some more in here for everything this year. We're just anxious to have people back. We're anxious to play baseball, soccer, whatever it is. We are ready, and appreciate the time here today. And I would anticipate a lot more information coming out about baseball and soccer in the coming weeks, and boy, is it welcome when it's like 5 degrees outside.
No question. You're right. Watch out for the snow on Sunday. Thank you, Craig. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Craig Unger, president of the Redbirds and 901 FC. We've got to take a quick timeout. We're back in just a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkham for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. What a great time to buy a newer used car or truck and save money at Sunrise. The largest selection in over a year, over 900 new Buicks and GMCs to choose from, a $6 million used car inventory. See them all at sunrisememphis.com. Factory rebates up to $6,250 and Sunrise discounts high as $10,000. Immediate financing available with interest low as 0% on select models. Cars and trucks under $10,000. When it comes to selection and savings, it doesn't get any better than this, partner. Come on in and save some money at Sunrise, Covington Pike, Wolfchase, and Collierville.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together. So the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion, hour number 2, brought to you in part by the F1 Insurance Team. 10 different companies they will find for you for home or auto insurance, all based on what your needs are, what your budgets are, and after they get to know you at Eflin, they figure it all out. What's the perfect fit? They do the same thing for life insurance there. They get quotes from 15 well-respected companies. You're always going to find that right fit, even with commercial insurance, because they do both. They have virtually unlimited access programs to protect small and mid-sized businesses. So if you want to get to know somebody so they get to know you to protect you the right way, please call my guys, Andrew, Heath, Grant, all at 386-4777. That's 386-GER. That's because they're big Tiger supporters. They protect you the right way at the Eflin Insurance Group. We were chatting a little bit earlier pertaining to how maybe J.J. Watts has gotten away. There's different rules for different folks. I think the same thing happened with coaches in the Big 12. Did you see what Bob Bowlesby did to Chris Beard for that sit-down on Tuesday?
I did, Dave, and it's really bad. And Mike DeCourcy called that shot on Wednesday with us. I love Chris Beard. He is. I think he's going to a superstar career, as in multiple times winning a national championship. They may not all be at Texas Tech, but they could be there. But that was disgraceful.
Yeah.
You cannot act like that. And he cost his team that game was on the road, wasn't it?
No.
Regardless, he cost his team.
That game was at home.
It was at Lubbock. Okay, but he cost his team a game with those antics. It was a horrible call, but you have to have more restraint than that. And I'm scared that he doesn't, and that will cost him from being that legendary coach. It is so tightly wound, and it never relaxes. That's the good side of it. It's the really good side of it. But the bad side is that if he had another incident like that the rest of this year, Texas Tech could fire him easily with cause.
Well, so here was the Bowlesby reprimand, and that's what it was basically a public statement that put him on notice that any future sportsmanship violations could lead to a more severe penalty. So basically, he got nothing but a warning that if you do this again, you could be in big trouble, which I think he would be. But my question is, because he got this preferential treatment, and I tend to think that a lot of other people, even big names, would have been more severely penalized. Do we, as the public, do you think he gets more grief because he got off so easily?
I think he will, but right therein lies the problem, Dave. And whether you believe it or not, a lot of people think that there are one set of rules for some and another one and others for others. I think the simplest thing is we have one rule book. We have one guidepost. And if you're in violation of it, then you pay. I think someone of the stature of Chris Beard, if he pays a heavy penalty, instead of Bowlesby doing slap on the wrist, instead he makes him pay heavily.
Yeah.
That sends the message of deterrence that you better not do it, because if the commissioner will treat Chris Beard like that, you know he'll treat fill in the blank like that.
Well, and I think the average fan's going to go, okay, he paid a price for that. And now they're thinking differently. I mean, when he goes into Morgantown, West Virginia, because that was who this thing was against the other night, they're going to just be on him much, much harsher than he has seen treatment in the past.
And that doesn't bother him. That doesn't mean anything to him, because he is a tough-minded guy. But whatever privilege people think might be out there, real or perceived, we know that there's some to a lot, and we know that there was Chris Beard privilege.
That's exactly on the money. All right, the snow is coming on Sunday night. And I want to tell you, you know how Brett went and got a whole bunch of milk and he got a whole bunch of bread? How about going and go a whole bunch of commissary barbecue? That maybe
get you some Brunswick stew.
I was just going to say Brunswick stew. Makes me think of you, and it makes me think of George Lapidus. He loved that Brunswick stew. That's
the best antifreeze out there for you.
That's what you need. You need some hearty, filling thing when you're going to have to trudge through the snow. I mean, can you imagine me? I'll be walking to the Flynn Broadcasting Center on Monday because, it'll be so packed. I'll have to walk those 5 miles.
I'm going to be a veritable Jean-Claude Keeley out in this.
No, he went downhill. You need to be a cross-country skier. Cross-country, baby.
Bill Cook. Remember Bill Cook, Koch?
Yeah.
The cross-country guy?
Yeah.
That's who I'll be.
I think he's pronounced Coke, but other than that, I got the right spelling. I'm glad you did that for me. Brunswick stew. Go get it tonight, guys. Or, look, can't lose with the ribs. The great thing is it's always consistent. It's fantastic, and it's at both locations. Really. You can get it curbside in Germantown. You can go drive-through in Collierville. That's Poplar and Houston Levy Road. Forever, they've been serving you those deviled eggs. That's part of their signature. Everything's so good, though. And it's the perfect time for that Brunswick stew. Makes you think of good times in the past and fills you up when the snow comes on Sunday. All you got to do is think one word, commissary. It works in Germantown. It works in Collierville. 2 hours in the books. Our friend in freezing Chicago, though we're giving Chicago a run for its money. Andy Schiffman will join us here in just a minute.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour of the week, and then the weekend, and the cold will really get here. We will visit with Andy Schiffman from Chicago, where it will really, really, really be cold. You think we're cold. They're really going to have it. After I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's our friends at DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got the hot sales for you in this cold weather down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman to be exact. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience we've come to know and love at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road. No shortcuts taken. They'll treat you like family, though. Kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment. They care about your time, especially in this cold weather. Got to get you in and get you out, but they're not going to rush you. But they know we live in a world today that time matters, and your time is very important to you. That's why they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in, within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in 45 minutes or less, in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or at any point this weekend at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road. Go online and see the many, many testimonials from happy customers and look at all the beautiful cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com. On Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We get set for the weekend. We said it's been a freezing Friday, 25 degrees at the very moment. Tomorrow, a high of 28. It'll be down to 18. Sunday in the evening through Monday, we are expecting anywhere from 4 to 12 inches of snow. Ron Childers, he told me for sure, at least 4, maybe as much as a foot. By the way, the low on Monday will be 1 degree. We are rivaling the city of Chicago, where our agent Andy Schiffman joins us now. We can have this empathy with you now, my brother. We're freezing together.
little bit of a taste of it. You just don't have to walk to an office in it. You don't have to drive in 2 feet of snow. So don't complain too much, Dave.
Will they deliver Lou Malnati's to you? That's all I need to know.
Hey, I live next to Giordano's. I'm set.
Okay, very good.
You are set, Andy. You could, between pandemic and snowstorms, you could stay locked up a while.
Yeah, you could.
Oh, I'm all set. So far, I've lived in 2 different buildings in Chicago, and each spot has been next to a deep dish pizza place. First was Lou Malnati's in the South Loop, now Giordano's. So I'm just planning my next move, maybe somewhere next to Pequod's up in Lincoln Park.
That's good too. But I got to say, of all those 3, Malnati's is my favorite.
Fair enough. I've become more of a Pequod's fan. It's a little lesser known, but you can never go wrong with either Lou Malnati's or Giordano's, that's for sure.
No.
Andy, did it take you a while to get used to deep dish, or did you grow up knowing about it?
Definitely did not grow up. I grew up on Garibaldi's and Papa John's. I would say
me too. The first time I had it, I was blown away.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I was like, all right, I can make this work.
This is the real deal, no question. All right, so the Grizzlies are in L.A. tonight. We'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
I actually want to go up the coast to the north. I want to go to Steph Curry, who had 40 points last night with 10 threes. In the last 8 games, he's averaging 35 and a third points and shooting 53% from three-point range. There's talk about him being an MVP. But I got to ask you, can you be on a team that's 2 games over 500 and be an MVP? Come on.
As of today, you're probably right. That's probably unrealistic. But unfortunately for Grizzlies fans, I think Golden State is going to keep winning if Steph is playing this hot. He's having a career year, and no other year for him has rivaled the season that he's having, other than the 2015 season. I was comparing his stats and shooting earlier. But you're right, it's insane. On the season, he's shooting almost 44% from 3, making 5 threes a game. Those numbers are just off the charts, out of this world, ridiculous. And it's just so great to see, obviously, after only playing 5 games last year, to see Golden State having success. So, again, when they get healthy, you get James Wiseman back hopefully sometime soon. Maybe they're active at the trade deadline. Everyone's clicking on all cylinders. I do think they're going to continue to win games, which will help catapult Steph into more of a solid MVP candidate conversation. I mean, for my money right now, I would probably have LeBron at the top. But I don't think it's completely out of the question that after the All-Star break, Steph gets more and more consideration.
Interesting. And here comes Golden State, and here comes a lot of teams in the West. I don't think there's much debate about the stronger of the 2 conferences, East versus West. But what about like in the 7 to 11 range? And that's where the Grizzlies will end up falling out. Which sides? Because after seeing the Grizzlies really handle Charlotte the other night, I thought, once again, to be in the East.
No, absolutely. I remember we talked about this earlier in the season on the show as well, kind of comparing the 2 conferences, why one might be better than the other in one's point of view. For my money, it's still the West. You definitely have some big players in the East now with Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. They've been there all year, Boston. But then I think there is a significant drop-off. I don't necessarily think of Indiana or Toronto this year as an elite-level team. You have Charlotte and Atlanta right there at the 7th and 8th spot. But you're talking about Miami, New York, Chicago, all sort of knocking on the door for that 8th spot. And then you talk about the West. Sacramento's 12-12. Will they be there at the end of the season? I'm not sure. Memphis, if they're healthy, they could be a team to fit into that 7th or 8th spot with the new playoff format for sure. Dallas, I got to believe they're going to pick it up at 12-14 right now. I don't think they're going to be out of the playoffs come the end of the season. I think they're going to continue to win. It's a tough call. Like, can San Antonio sustain the success they've had? I'm not necessarily a believer that they can. I think Denver's going to continue to improve. Golden State right now is in the 8th spot, like I just mentioned. I think they're going to continue to improve. We've talked about Phoenix there sitting in the 4th spot right now. I think they're the real deal. I think they're going to sustain the success they've had already, and they're 15-9 right now. So I think from top to bottom, the West for sure is a stronger conference. I just think you're talking about Denver, and we all remember what Denver did last season, especially in the bubble, those back-to-back series wins coming back from 3-1, and they're in the 7th spot right now. And if you're comparing them to a Charlotte team that Memphis just saw last night as the 7th seed in the East, there's no question who the stronger team is.
None.
Let's temper that for a second, okay?
Fair enough.
Let's say that your guy Brandon Clark comes back and plays games without breaking your confidentiality. Can you tell us when you think he'll come back?
We're hoping that he will be back sometime next week.
Okay.
That's our hope.
All right. So let's say Melton, Clark, Desmond Bain's going to miss, who's really become a pretty good solid player. He started games. Bain, there's 3, with Jackson and with Winslow. Let's say all 5 of those guys come back, and they can play the entire second half, all 36 games of the second half. Can that team, if they desire to try to make the playoffs, and who knows, I think they will, but if everybody comes back and they really want to make the playoffs, can they make the playoffs? Are they good enough?
I absolutely do think they're good enough to make the playoffs. Now, are they good enough to win a series? Are they good enough to potentially get into the top 6? I don't think so, because you're talking about a team that will not have been together for a whole season. Talking about Jaren Jackson, some of these guys did not play with Jaren this season. Some of the young guys, the rookies, Desmond, Xavier Tillman. You have to have everyone on the same page, and that's also going to take a little bit of a adjustment once you do have everybody back healthy. And you just don't know when that will happen. Everyone could become active at different points in time in the season, which means there's going to be a lot of transition and adjusting the roster around and rotations. Not to say it can't happen, but my opinion, I think they can make the playoffs. I don't necessarily know where that ceiling is, though, just for the reasons I already talked about. And you have other teams ahead of you that will have had the opportunity to play together the whole season that are very strong, perennial playoff level teams. If San Antonio does remain in the playoffs, Golden State, if they climb up a little bit, Portland is going to be there, Phoenix is going to be there. So I do think they have enough firepower to make the playoffs. And I, quite honestly, Dave, I don't think it's out of the question for them to make the playoffs with their roster as it is right now. I just think they're, you've seen what they can do when they went on that 7-game win streak recently. Then, of course, they lost the last 5 before beating Charlotte last night. And now they got a tough one tonight and then Sacramento before back-to-back at home. So a lot of it, too, will be dependent on the strength of the schedule. But I don't think it's out of the question they can make the playoffs right now. I just don't know how far they'll be able to go if they do make the playoffs.
Andy, did you think Bain would be this good?
Well, I knew he was an elite-level shooter. And I think a lot of times when you're looking at players in the draft, teams look at what players can't do. And I think a lot of times people will say, well, you've got a player who's an elite-level stationary shooter. He's got size, good body. How athletic is he? How much can he defend? Can he switch on the perimeter? Can he put it on the floor? Can he go create his own shot? And if you're talking about all these things and checking all those boxes, and you're talking about a top 5 pick. So when you get into the second round, that's really when quote-unquote specialists make their niche. Joe Harris, one of our clients, one of the elite-level three-point shooters in the NBA, who was at one point waived by the Orlando Magic in his second or third year in the NBA, he is a specialist. I think Desmond Bain, for sure, you can classify him as a specialist, and he does it so well. And the way the Grizzlies space the floor, playing alongside Ja Morant, you see in every single game, he's hitting multiple threes, coming out of the gate firing, one of, if not the best, three-point shooter as a rookie. I necessarily did not see him doing this well, but I also think it's a credit to the Grizzlies staff for picking a player that fits a need, and it is. It's been a seamless fit for him, given their roster.
And I think Taylor Jenkins is encouraging him to do more than just be that perimeter shooter. If he's got any kind of crease, he has, in the last few games anyway, tried to get into the hole a little bit more often, which I appreciate. So if we go and we look from the top, which was Anthony Edwards, and then it was James Wiseman and LaMelo Ball, who's really talked most about being the Rookie of the Year, besides those other guys, and then all the way to the bottom where the Grizzlies ended up with Desmond Bain trading up to get him. What's been the biggest positive, the biggest surprise, the best value for where they were taken in the first round of last year's draft? Who is it?
In the first round, well, I definitely believe that you can make a strong case for Desmond being there. He has definitely lifted the perimeter shooting of the Grizzlies, then I think you have to include him. I think you have to include Peyton Pritchard with the Celtics. He just had a great game the other night.
Yep.
When he's been given the opportunity, which is exactly when he's been given the opportunity, he's capitalized. Now, he's not a consistent rotational player like Desmond is for the Grizzlies, but again, when he's been given the opportunity, he's absolutely capitalized. I think another name for sure, one of the Knicks rookies, Emmanuel Quickley from Kentucky, he's really impressed me a lot. I'm just kind of looking through some of the other names, and then you start getting into the lottery. Tyrese Halliburton is always fun to watch. They'll see them when the Grizzlies play the Kings on this little West Coast trip. But again, he was a 12th pick. He was seemingly supposed to be a lottery pick. You talk about a player like Isaac Okoro, who is a defensive dynamo with Cleveland. He was the 5th pick. He was supposed to be there. I think Patrick Williams will be a very good player. I don't think he's necessarily worthy of the 4th pick as you sit today, but on a young Chicago team that is trying to build around Zach LaVine and potentially be a playoff contender next year and starting to make some noise under Billy Donovan, I think he's the right pick. I think he's very skilled defensively. And again, 2 years from now, he's still so young. I think he could be worthy of the 4th pick. But as of today, I don't necessarily know if he's justified the 4th pick if you're just comparing it off of numbers, whereas Desmond Bane, in my opinion, would have been a top 20 pick if you're having sometimes these critics and analysts, they do a redraft. And for sure, Desmond would go before 30. I think for sure Peyton Pritchard would go before 26 and Quickly would go before 25. But it's good to the Grizzlies, another gem by Zach Kleiman on draft night, drafting someone. You remember years ago, these teams picking in the late 1st or into the 2nd, a lot of times these players would just find themselves in the G League no matter what. There's just a roster squeeze. They're not really given much opportunity. And to Zach and Taylor's credit with the Grizzlies, they've been able to get a lot out of these later picks and throw them out in the fire and actually there's no better teacher than experience. And they're getting that now, which is great. Xavier Tillman, one of our guys, obviously Desmond Bane. It's been fun to watch.
Is Williams then the bust of this?
No,
of this draft?
I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to. No, I would definitely not say he's a bust. I think he's drafted on potential. I think right now he's played very well for the Bulls. I do think he's worthy of a lottery pick even this year as the season's gone on up to this point.
Who is your bust then?
It's hard to classify this player as a bust, but look, you drafted Killian Hayes on a struggling Detroit team, and it's to no fault of anyone. It's just he's out with a hip injury for the rest of this year, it seems like. So I don't necessarily know if I classify that as a bust and someone that just didn't pan out. It's just unfortunate they spent the 7th pick and they really never got to see the fruits of their labor investing that much of a high pick in a player that's really not going to give them anything this year. If I'm looking at bust, quite honestly, I don't know how much Jalen Smith is really going to be able to go out there and produce right away. Aaron Nesmith, actually a player that I recruited with the Celtics. Again, I don't say that's a bust. With a stacked Celtics team, especially on the wing, he just really hasn't had a ton of opportunity. But I guarantee you, if the Celtics are all of a sudden picking later in the draft or in the 2nd round, it's a whole different story. I just think for him to be picked as a lottery pick on a team already with success and win a championship, it's hard for any young player to really see the floor that much. And just looking through the names, I really don't know if anyone truly is a bust. Even a player like R.J. Hampton, who at one point was considered a top 5 pick 2 seasons ago when he was with the New Zealand Breakers, he came to play the Grizzlies in preseason, if you remember that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of upside there. But again, is he a bust at 24? Not. It's just too early to say that someone is a bust that late in the 1st round. So I really don't think there's necessarily a bust at this point in the draft because you look at what the top 3 picks are doing. Anthony Edwards is surpassing, I know, your expectations.
Definitely.
He's doing really well with Minnesota, even though the team's underachieving. James Wiseman is worthy of a number 2 pick if he's healthy. LaMelo Ball, like you mentioned, is probably the front runner for Rookie of the Year. And then I talked about some of these other high picks. Now, Onyeka Okongwu who played at USC, the big man for the Hawks, he hasn't really seen a ton of opportunity. It's too early to say he's a bust. In my opinion, and I know I'm rambling here, I would look at a bust saying we've given you every opportunity and you're just not producing. And it's just too early to say for any of these rookies if that's the case.
Andy, it's very much a relationship business. You give credit where it is very much deserved to the front office of the Grizzlies. But with Emmanuel Quickley, I have a feeling that John Calipari called his buddies Leon Rose and Worldwide West and said, I want this guy drafted, and it's worked out.
Well, I don't know where the Knicks had him on draft night. If you remember, they were able to get him at 25 with a trade with the Thunder and the Timberwolves involved with that. There was a little 3-team deal there. But you're right, exactly right, for sure. And not to get into specifics, I've even had one of my own players drafted to a team primarily because of a relationship with the general manager, not necessarily because of my relationship with the general manager, but with a college coach who coached that player. And they've got a specific relationship. And so that definitely plays a part when you're talking about the back half of the first, maybe even 20 to 30, and for sure in the second round, and especially late in the second round, where there's a strong relationship with a GM and a coach. Maybe there's not a real roster opportunity for a player to be picked in the 50s, but the GM feels a certain type of way about a coach and et cetera. They want to be able to reward a player and just keep a strong relationship with that coach and that program. So they'll say, you know what, I'll pick your guy at 54, and he'll be in the G League, or he'll go overseas, or he'll sign a 2-way contract.
LaMelo Ball. He's also exceeding my expectations. I think Lonzo's a good player. I really do. I don't think he's a bad player at all. So the dad had a couple of sons that are really good players in the NBA. I'm not sure where the middle son is at the moment.
I think he's still in the G League, if I'm not mistaken.
How good? How good is LaMelo? And do you think he's an all-star type player?
I think he will be an all-star type player. I think he does a little bit of everything. To his credit, he's backed up all of the requests, so to speak, that his dad, LeVar, has mentioned in the media about starting LaMelo. And one thing I like now, they're starting LaMelo alongside Terry Rozier. I just think he's doing a little bit of everything. He's shooting much better than Lonzo, 36% from three on almost 5 attempts a game. He's putting up 14 points a game. Charlotte has played well. They are a playoff team as of today. We have Gordon Hayward on the Hornets, and I know that he really loves playing with LaMelo. And so as a rookie, if you look back at some of these top picks and you evaluate some of the numbers and the success they've had as a rookie and map it out over the next 3 to 5 years, they're all going to improve in every level if they're worthy of that pick. Now, not every player does it. Sometimes they regress. But the fact that he's coming in with such a high floor has to be exciting for Hornets fans and for the organization. So I'm a LaMelo fan. I think it's a great pick by them, and I think he absolutely is deserving of the Rookie of the Year, for sure.
I think he's the best ball.
I'm a fan of his dad. I'm a fan of his dad. His dad
makes one of us.
Gets knocked. He gets knocked around. Yeah, he gets knocked around quite a bit. Everybody wants to kind of compare him to the early years of Richard Williams. You don't hear any Richard Williams criticism. I hadn't heard Richard Williams criticism in about 20 years now, and in about 5 more years, you're not going to hear any more criticism of Mr. Ball.
Well, the one thing I like about Lonzo and LaMelo and how they've handled it is obviously LeVar, everyone knows, is the character, and he seems to have kind of fallen in the shadows in recent years. But to LaMelo's credit, to Lonzo's credit especially, since he's more of a veteran, neither of those players have really fed into it. They're focused on basketball. They don't really
just work.
Bite when yeah, exactly. They go to work. They don't really bite and take the bait, let's say, of journalists and media asking them about trying to bring LeVar in. They know it's about basketball. This is my job. Let's focus on that. Whatever my dad's out there saying in the media, cool, let him do that. But that's not going to affect how I play. It's not going to become a distraction. I think it's the best way to characterize that. And I give them a lot of credit for that because that's not easy to do when you've got the spotlight on you already coming into the league as a high pick. And now it's even more amplified when you've got a character like LeVar who seemingly puts a lot of extra pressure on you based on the things he's out there saying.
Well, I've thought a lot about this before. I find that interesting, Brett, that you are open to liking him. The difference between him and Richard Williams is, goes way back, is Richard Williams had a lot of stuff he had to fight to get his daughters into the forefront. And when he got them positioned, as soon as they were old enough to be on their own, he absolutely left. He said, I did my job, I'm done. And he never personally tried to capitalize on those 2 girls. It was all about getting those 2 girls into a position to become the great athletes and women that they became. Whereas LeVar tried to capitalize immediately Those 3 kids' notoriety. He started this ridiculous shoe company trying to make a whole lot of money, charging all this money for a shoe. Then a basketball league that folded. He had one son who finally had to go, look, I'm done with you, Dad. I want you to be my dad, but you're not going to be involved in my business anymore. And that took a lot of guts, I thought, for Lonzo to do that. And he's sort of now, he's backed up. Maybe he's learned his lesson, so maybe that is a good thing. But I think those are 2 different things. And I thought Richard Williams really was a classy dude.
He may not be Richard Williams, but he's not Marv Marinovich either.
Oh, no, that guy was nuts. You're right. In case you don't know who Marv Marinovich is, Todd Marinovich's dad, when he was like, when Todd was, 4 years old, 5 years old, he started massaging him and grooming him to be this machine of an athlete. That was nutso for sure. Andy, what are you expecting on Monday or Sunday to be the low temperature in the city of Chicago?
Well, I think Sunday is going to be worse than Monday, but we've already been through that over the last 2 weeks or so. So you're talking single digits, wind chill, negative 20, 25. You got to have the long johns out. You got to have the Canada Goose out, the scarf, sweaters, etc. And I usually walk to the office. My barometer is 15 degrees, Dave. If it's below 15, then I will Uber or drive. So the last few days when I do go in, I've been driving, but it's nothing I'm not already used to at this point.
Well, we're trying to rival you. We're gonna be down to 1 degree. What day did I say that was? 1 degree. Monday. 1 degree. Yep. So we're trying to get
unheard of.
We're trying to get into the Chicago big leagues. That's what we're trying to do.
Call old time and temperature, and they say it's 1 degree.
But I don't get any Giordano's or Lou Malnati's. That's the big difference. Andy, thank you so much.
We'll do a trade.
Thank you, Andy.
Garibaldi's, and I'll send you some deep dish.
That is a done deal. That is a done deal. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. Stay warm. We'll talk next Friday.
You too, guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks.
That is our agent, our friend, Andy Schiffman, brought to you in part by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And there's the same place, same building where they have Genesis of Olive Branch. Those products are so good, high technology. You know, Hyundai's the safest car in the world. Genesis cars, I think, the greatest car in the world. They both get 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranties. And how they've upped the service bar at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch is they give you a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package. Any kind of rotation of tires or transmission fluid or, of course, oil changes. That is all done complimentary by the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. And you got to meet this guy, Vinny Gerard. He's now over all of the Genesis luxury cars. He's got a direct number, 662-890-6684. Get a hold of Vinny. Tell him you want to test drive that SUV, the new GV80. It's been, for years we've been waiting for this thing. It's finally come. They can't keep them on the lot. They go so quickly. Really, for the product that we're talking about, some people say this is a $300,000 car, $50,000 to $70,000 range. They can't keep them. But they have a demo for you to try. Call him. He'll bring it out. You can drive it around. There's G70s, G80s, G90s on the lot. You're going to love everything about Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute, halfway home on a freezing Friday on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Do you know who I am?
Who are you? I'm Superfly TNT.
Johnny Radio.
Where do you want to be? 1 to 3? Right here with me. Sports 56, 98.5, 96.1 FM, Monday through Friday. This is Sports 56 Happy Hour, your good buddy Johnny Radio.
I'm a big fan of Town Village, and there is always something to do year-round. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You hear the phrase all day, every day. In these uncertain times this, in these uncertain times that. Well, in these uncertain times, one thing I know for certain, you want you some Central Barbecue. Central Barbecue is open for you to dine in or carry out, online orders and curbside pickup. And another thing you can be certain about is this. We are doing everything in our power to keep you and our staff safe. You can be sure that everyone working at any Central Barbecue is following every safety protocol there is, and they'll encourage you to do the same. Come on in and get some Central Barbecue. And yes, your face covering is probably going to end up with some sauce on it. A small price to pay for safety.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Halfway home to the weekend. This portion of the show brought to you by by Grind City Brewing. That's this great new place. If you haven't been there, you got to go see it. The brewery sits above the city elevation. It's in uptown Memphis. 15,000 square feet of beerness. It's got a 5,000 square foot tap room. It's on this beautiful land with a view that you see the bridge, and there are going to be concerts and everything there. But they have come up with a beer that I am so proud of, and everybody loves it. And now it's going to be in Kroger. It's called Tiger Tail. It is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis, and that's the thing. This whole brewery, Grind City Brewing, is the dream of a father and son, and they're all about Memphis. They want to be connected to Memphis, and they came to the University of Memphis with this idea, and the Tigers said, we love it. And they created this malt liquor that is in 16-ounce six-packs. It is not your typical malt liquor, I promise. It is a craft beer. It is crafted with a bold and smooth flavor, has 7.5% alcohol, and this very clean finish makes it the most incredibly easy drinking beer I think I've ever had. You need to try it. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing. They're taking care of beerness in Memphis. So I got to tell you, my man, Brett Norsworthy, if you're watching on Facebook or any Instagram, any of the things that we have, Periscope, I got to tell you, you got to see, he's got a Memphis Redbird shirt on. It's a sweatshirt, isn't it, for the cold?
Yes.
And you are telling me that you actually bought this as a Christmas gift. Look at this,
To
folks.
myself.
You gave it to yourself. In 1999, this shirt is 22 years old. Now, I've often said that you are Felix of The Odd Couple, and I am
a slob.
Oscar. I didn't say a slob. Please. Look at me now. If you are watching the same way, you will not see a slob. I absolutely am offended by that remark.
That was Oscar. His role was a slob.
No, he wasn't as meticulous.
Disheveled.
He wasn't.
No, the team store was in left field of Old Blue Stadium, and later dubbed. It was called AutoZone Park too in '98, '99 before moving into AutoZone Park, wasn't it?
No, I think it was Tim McCarver Stadium until they moved. I don't think it ever changed names.
But originally opened as Blue Stadium, and behind left field was a steam store. A nice man named Steve Israel ran it for the Redbirds then, and bought this and 2 golf shirts that were my Christmas present from my nephews, but I knew what it was, and I was surprised when I opened it.
So you are offending me by calling me a slob, saying I'm slovenly.
Well, you brought up Oscar and Felix.
I just said Oscar. I didn't say I was a slob.
Well, everybody knows that in the Odd Couple that one took care of things and the other one was a slob.
One was loved and the other was tolerated. So, okay, we can look at it at different perspectives. But the point I'm trying to make is, how do you have a shirt that how often do you wear it, that you still look so good? I mean, I don't understand how you can do that.
A, I take care of it. B, I wear it. I'm going to say I wear this sweatshirt 6, 8, 10 times a winter.
Okay.
Low side 6, high side 10.
So you don't wear it very much. That's part of the
But over 22 years, that's 200 and some odd wearings.
No. That's the same way you are with golf shirts. The beauty of your golf shirts.
I have those golf shirts. My nephews bought me.
You probably wear those.
They're a little
2 times
small
a year.
now, though.
2 times a year, maybe that's it. You probably have 1,000 golf shirts. That's why.
Dave, do you remember back in late July and early August when it looked for real, very in play, of no fall college football season?
Oh, yeah.
And there were so many advocates of, let's just play in the springtime. Let's start in February. And I said then, can you imagine anywhere in the country, whether it's practice or, and some proposed that this weekend and more really kind of center cut next weekend being de facto opening days, those fools that were advocating that, I hope people can remember. I know we have a collective short memory on good and bad. And that's kind of a good thing, instead of being hindered by constantly remembering whether it was too fond or whether it was too bad. But do you remember a lot of those people out there advocating that? Can you imagine college football practice starting now, or somebody trying to sit in a stadium this weekend? And on the testing front, on the virus front, it's much worse now than it was then. If college football collectively had listened to those nitwits, look where we would be in college sports.
Now, it's funny that you bring this up with college football. I have this great app on my phone called The Score, and it gives me every league and everything and standings and games.
It's the best scoreboard app made.
It is. If you go to college football right now, it has Saturday, February 20th, week from Saturday, week from tomorrow, Tarleton State and New Mexico State, to be determined the time or the line. So we are supposed to be getting some spring college football. Aren't the Ivies?
I think Rhodes College is scheduled to play either
4 or 5 games
last week.
Oh, they
played
already?
last week, and I think they have a home. They have a home game tomorrow. Good luck setting in that. Good luck playing in that. If we had listened to those people, look where college sports would be, because it's a really tough sled for college sports with having the football season played. But to have listened to the commissioner of the Big Ten and all the blue check marks that were calling for it, and they're all out there, and all the tweets are saved. People, I would beg you, never listen to those people on anything real or not real important.
Well, that the Big Ten shutdown was from that report on cardio.
Myocarditis.
Myocarditis. Thank you. And
they had shut down and then ran the myocarditis scare at everyone else that hadn't shut down, trying to get them to acquiesce, and were still calling for maybe a marked opening date. But some of them had next weekend circled as potential opening dates. It would have been catastrophic, and luckily smart enough people saw the right thing for college football, because it wasn't going to go off this time. It couldn't go off this time because of the case counts, much worse than it was then.
Well, yeah. Even though we are coming down, that's true. And Rhodes played last week and is supposed to play tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I think 3 o'clock at Crane Field. Yes.
Man, that will be freezing.
Have fun.
Actually, they are playing Central College tomorrow in Nashville.
Oh, well, it'll be freezing there.
Okay, well that was
at least
that was redone then because I thought their first 2 games were at home. Did they open last Saturday
night? I think they moved the game.
Yeah, and a lot of things being changed, but it would have just been devastating for college football to have listened to those nitwits. And I contend they knew it would be a problem in the spring, and that would have been them trying to kill college football. They didn't want it anytime. They didn't want it last August, September, October, November, and they don't want it now, and they don't want it next year.
Isn't the Ivy League supposed to start football in a week or two, or have they put the kibosh on that?
I think they ended everything when they ended all spring sports, didn't they?
Well, then they did end it. If that was the announcement,
because if you
I
go
think we'd
to
have heard about it by now if they were having it.
Well, tree falls in the woods, but if you go to NCAA net rankings, only 347 teams are ranked, and this year there were supposed to be 357, but that is excluding the 10 from the Ivy that never suited up.
So the reason I originally brought up that antique sweatshirt that you have on that looks so marvelous is because I really did want to talk with you about what you think of this new alignment. And I must confess, I think it makes more sense for baseball. I'd rather see, honestly, them give the money to the players instead of to the commercial jet lines that they were paying.
Why to? Regionality makes sense.
For having to go all that way to, I mean, like you said,
but I think
Pacific
it's a
Coast
little
League. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's a little overdone that it was done, for the fans, because very few. I know there are some, but I'm talking the great percentages, and it would be 1% or less that travel to out-of-town games even once a year. I mean, it's not carloads of Redbird fans loading up and going to Oklahoma City or for sure to Tacoma any more than they're going to go to Durham or to Charlotte or to Jacksonville. But for the teams, it makes sense.
Right.
But to scotch it that they're doing it for the fans, I thought it is a little much.
Well,
if you want to do something for the fans after missing an entire year, come back with lower concession prices and higher quality food.
Well, that's good. I do think, for fans, it is you can easily go to Nashville, but you could do that before anyway. And you can go to Gwinnett because Atlanta's not very far, let's be honest.
Well,
but
could go to New Orleans just as easily
those
as
are the
you can
only
to Atlanta.
two. You're not going to Durham. You're not going to Charlotte. Come on.
No, nobody has.
You're
Nobody
definitely
ever
not going
has.
to
Nobody's ever going
right.
to.
Right, but
even in the days of the Memphis Blues and the Arkansas Travelers, very few people would go back and forth down I-40 to those games. But I think we are at a real crossroads for baseball in Memphis after the first year miss since 1977. Last summer was the first summer, as Craig said, not a pitch, not a throw, not a out, not a strike last year, and we know why and we understand why. And now this year we'll see as people ease back to going. But the dynamic for Memphis Redbirds baseball has really changed from the ballpark opening in 2000. That is now, like this sweatshirt, a long time ago. It is a long time ago, opening day of AutoZone Park in 2000, and the market has changed with population shift. It has really changed. The baseball dynamic for the first time in my life, and I've been hearing it most of my life, of look out baseball, it's getting ready to really be damaged. For the first time in my life, I'm really scared that baseball is about to be damaged, and will people go back to the ballpark? And that's why I asked Craig, are they looking at almost a total relaunch, a reintroduction to people around town? And whether it's us at WHBQ at Flynn Broadcasting or not, whether it is or not, and I mean that 100% in sincerity, they've got to have traditional over-the-air radio. Nobody's going to the website to listen.
I totally agree with that. There may become a day where people do that, where everything is going to be on your computer. I could see that occurring, but it isn't here yet, and they are relaunching. Now, I agree with you about the travel. They're not going to other ballparks, but the one thing he did say was that fans will get a chance to see different new teams. We haven't seen Durham I don't think they've never come to
Ever.
the ballpark, or Gwinnett.
Ever.
I've never seen that. So you are
Charlotte, Jacksonville.
You are getting a little bit of that. So
And we may have had a Jacksonville team back in the AA days, but it's a lot of new markets and some new affiliations. Drew's going to be, I guarantee you, Drew will be down at the ballpark when his AAA Orioles are there because they are stacked. The Orioles farm system, double not loaded.
The Norfolk Tides. I've never seen them either. That'll be fun.
I mean, I'll be able to see all those prospects, but I'll never see them in an Orioles uniform because we'll just trade them away for more prospects. That's the Orioles way.
That's probably
Peter Angelo's.
That's probably very true. Well put. I hate to say it, but absolutely well put. But at least Memphis is in it, and I love it. It's a 10-year deal. It's not this 4-year deal, so that was another good aspect of all of this. This final portion of our show until crunch time is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and free brewery. You know this is the time when we are cold. And nobody is buying until they really need air conditioning. How does John spark business? He does a thing called free brewery. Perfectly put, where he'll give away a Carrier 80% gas furnace free if you buy a standard Carrier air conditioning system in the month of free brewery. And it's free on a whole lot of different fronts. Not just that furnace. How about an April air cleaner? He throws into the mix, no charge. 10-year parts warranty, that's free. Free Nest thermostat, now we're talking $2,000 worth of freebies and 12 months interest free. Well, that's why it's free brewery. All you got to do is make the call. 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We're back in a minute with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That is next.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Are you part of the cash economy but want to bet online? Action 24/7 has you covered. Deposit and withdrawal in cash. Place your bet online. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit action247.com for a location near you. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
When you think about Memphis-style hot wings, you better be thinking about Crumpy's Hot Wings, because they're made from the freshest ingredients and always deliver that mouth-watering taste that you expect from your hot wings. Now you can visit their new location at 420 South Germantown Parkway. You can also call them at 901-207-1273 and see for yourself why Crumpy's is simply the best. Ask for the Sports 56 Special, which is 20 pieces of whole wings, large fries, and 4 drinks at just $38 for your family or group gatherings. Crumpy's Hot Wings, simply the best.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. When I talk to people about selling their homes or buying one, my motto is stick to your game plan. I learned this from my friend Coach Terry Tippett. Coach, you didn't go into a game without having a plan, did you?
No, Sheldon. Having a plan was critical to the success of all my teams.
That's right, Coach. Sticking to your game plan helped you win 4 state championships.
That's wrong, Sheldon. It was 6, just like the number of shots you make on a par 3.
Well, Coach, we've played golf together. What advice can you give me about my game?
You probably need to stick to real estate, as you're much better at doing that, or perhaps bowling.
Great advice about real estate, not bowling. And as I always tell people, if they're thinking of selling their home, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and let me be one of them. As they often say, when you want the job done, Coach, who should they call?
Sheldon, of course.
You can reach me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brett Norsworthy.
We got crunch time in a minute. This final portion of the show is brought to you by Supercuts. Nothing is more important to Supercuts all across the country, and especially to the 15 here in Memphis, all owned by the Czech family. Nothing's more important than safety. And that's why they work with top infectious disease doctors, and they developed what they call the Safe Salon Commitment. And that is basically a partnership that maximizes safety and distance and social distancing and sanitization at every salon, including all the ones in Memphis. If you'd like to learn more about that Safe Salon Commitment, or you'd like to find which of the 15 Supercuts is closest to you, and you'd like to make an appointment to look really good, go to supercuts.com. It's officially crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
Boop! Get you!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On one, on two, on three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave, I learned again today, not one, nobody doing any bracketology out there of repute or ill repute has the AAC with more than one team in it. Single bid league for all of them. They have the Valley with 2, they have the A10 with 2, they have CUSA with 2, West Coast, the little guys represented. I think the AAC can make a better case for we deserve 2 in once somebody out there, somebody has more than one out there on a bracket.
Yeah, well, I think one of those 3 teams, hopefully Memphis or SMU or Wichita State, they've got to become dominating down the stretch here over the others to make a case to the committee. I learned today Jordan Spieth is maybe coming out of this 2-year funk. Today, following yesterday's 65, he shot a 67. Go back to Saturday in Phoenix where he shot a 61. He's shot in the low to mid-60s 3 out of 4 rounds, and he leads at Pebble Beach by 1 stroke over Daniel Berger. Patrick Cantlay, who shot that 62, tying the course record yesterday. Patrick Cantlay ended up shooting 73 today, but he's still tied for 4th at 9 under par. And Akshay Bhatia, the young 19-year-old who shot this incredible 64 yesterday by hitting every green in regulation, only the 4th player ever to do that in a round at Pebble Beach. He shot 73 today, but you know what? He's tied for 8th, so that is not bad for him. Should be a great weekend at Pebble Beach.
Sure should be. And Jordan Spieth, he brought the energy last week in Phoenix, and he'll bring it out at the Monterey Peninsula. I could have done without the Texans basically giving in to the always unhappy J.J. Watt. I don't ever remember a big play made by him in a big game. He's played so very little the last few years, only about 2 full seasons in the last 5. Again, out of a potential 90 regular season games, he's only played in 48. Proof that sometimes your best ability is your availability.
I I guess I could have done without that story, too, because if we take it just a little step further, say J.J. Watt goes, most likely, DeAndre Hopkins, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, George Springer, Garrett Cole, probably Deshaun Watson, all of these Houston pro athletes departing the city in the same year. What a rough year, along with COVID. For Houston, Texas.
Only Carlos Correa really remains.
Man, and this story, too, and this is your Baltimore Ravens cornerback. Jimmy Smith and his family, thank goodness, are safe today after they were apparently robbed at gunpoint at a Los Angeles hotel a couple of days ago. Smith and his family landed at the International LA Airport on Tuesday. They went to their hotel. Once there, they were allegedly robbed at gunpoint. Specifics about the incident are not clear, though neither Smith nor his family were hurt. According to the Ravens, Smith's 3 young children were with him at the time of the alleged robbery. Ooh, they'll never forget that.
Awful.
Yeah,
they sure won't. Keeping a close eye on. Good catch on Jordan Spieth. I guess he's starting his comeback at 28, kind of the Jennifer Capriati of golf. Golf this weekend at Pebble Beach. It should be fun. Loyola and Drake, not once but twice this weekend with the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. Many are saying Loyola better now than the 2018 Final Four team. It wasn't all Sister Jean that year, and it's not all Sister Jean this year. OU at Press, Virginia. Tennessee at LSU. LSU needs that game a lot worse than Tennessee does. Georgia at Alabama. Arkansas at Mizzou. Arkansas still without a great win this year. They won at Rupp, but winning a year at Rupp with nobody there and not a very good team, how great was it? Ole Miss at South Carolina to see if Ole Miss can kind of avert some of the stereotype about them in big games. Grizzlies versus LeBron tonight on ESPN, and late Sunday in Sacramento against the Kings, and that's a seed line game Sunday night. Tonight's a throwaway game. Sunday night's the seed line game.
Can I give you what I won't be watching this weekend?
Yes.
I won't be watching the Tigers.
Yeah.
I won't be watching any American Athletic Conference team play tomorrow. There's a couple of games I can watch tonight.
2 pretty good ones tonight.
Unbelievable that all of that happened. We hope you guys don't freeze to death. Seriously, Sunday night is going to be interesting to Monday because we are expecting a whole bunch of snow on top of this ice. So we ask you, please, please, please be very careful. Thank you to Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal, Craig Under with his great news today. Craig, the president of the Redbirds, is saying 10 years now. You're pretty well locked in as the Cardinal affiliate, and then we ended it with Andy Schiffman. Great week. Thank you all. We'll see you in the snow on Monday.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. With everyone